back to the caster's desk here at IEM Katowice. I've managed to find 2 supports to carry me through this one. It's going to be RNG going up against Fnatic. Now, a lot of concerns here in the pick and ban phase for you guys. I'm going to start with you, Deficio, as well. Definitely looks like RNG want to get rid of some of those comfort picks for Fnatic.
Yeah, I like the bans. Lee Sin against Spirit because he was so good on it, and the Thresh as well, because I think that was a big part of the strong 2v2 lane Fnatic had, was Cly actually playing Thresh, getting that range support. I just don't like this Victor pick into Zed, because Victor has to itemize for early Hourglass. It sets him really far behind, and he cannot stop a side lane split push at all. I think Victor in general is fairly weak against 1-3-1 comps. So I'm surprised it was the pick. Clearly Fnatic expected that there weren't many counters on the table for Xiaohu against this blind pick Zed.
Yeah, we saw kind of the Pantheon hover, but that would just make it so that Gamsu in the top lane would just lock that Rammus again. Start playing that.
Yeah, and now we gotta see also this Jhin without a Thresh next to him against Kalista, because a lot of people here, they look at Jhin as a lane counter to Kalista. Good early trading. If you can very easily predict her jump early game when she's very slow at jumping, and then land that snare with the W, and you can kind of all in her.
And there's respect for that Jhin pick coming here though from RNG, because they are initiating the lane swap with deep vision. So this is pretty telling that they actually just won, or seemingly won the lane swap.
Yeah, I mean, RNG, you know, they're considered in China decent with their lane swap, but we've already had some concerns brought up, I think, about how RNG go about that. And, you know, we said we actually saw that Xiaohu didn't want to pick Kalista into this Fnatic Jhin. Could either of you guys maybe shed some light on why they're so afraid of that?
Again, a lot of it for me looks at, first of all, Jhin is super good at doing a camp early on, and then walking into lane, and you can last hit the first 3 melee minions with your grenade, and kind of bounces between them, because the minions will always spread out and hit each other now on the first wave. So he's very good at getting level 2 spike.
He has a really good level 2 power spike. He's just a strong trader. Like Kalista generally, like the only few matchups that she loses is people that can out-trade her short. So like she used to have a hard time into Misfortune, for example.
And also Kalista is a pick who is actually really weak if she's behind. So you pick her because you want to get ahead in laning phase, and then when there are a AD carry who can out-trade you in the early game and also snare you, which is the counter against the mobility, then you decide this is not a great matchup for Kalista. We want to pick maybe an Ezreal who can then scale up to late game and have more impact there. I still think Kalista is a good pick though. I think most Kalista players would most likely be able to go even in lane, especially against an Alistar. But we do have the lane swap in this game here from RNG, and we got to see how it pans out.
Well, so far, not so good for Looper, as we will have the pause here. It's just as well, because plenty to discuss here in the early stages. At least the lane swap means that no one's going to get too far behind in terms of those AD carries.
Is my cough button there for a second?
Was it a cough or a laugh? I can't quite tell.
No, it's a small cough.
All right.
Because I disagreed with you.
Yes, well, that's okay. You're allowed to do that, of course. You see Clyde took a couple extra turret hits there as well. And,
yeah, he's a little low. So if we gotta start criticizing these lane swaps when absolutely nothing's happening, we start counting the amount of tower shots people randomly take. So Kai took 2 tower shots, so technically...
2 black marks for him, right? Well,
I don't hate it if...
Yeah, if the timing works out.
Right,
for the minions,
exactly.
yeah.
If your minion wave is close enough to dying that you would have to actually move away from the tower, wait for the next wave, and then move back in, then I'd rather have you take a few tower shots. Obviously, don't die to it.
There is that mechanic in the game where it's always better to take the tower shots in between rather than at the end, because when there's minions around the tower, the armor actually drops. So that's why it's easier for you to kill towers with minions around it as opposed to backdooring. That's why we sometimes see these comic executes, by the way, because they're hitting the tower. They're like, okay, 50 damage. You know, there's 150 HP left. You know, they do the math. That's 3 hits. The minions go down. Oopsie, my attack's now doing only like 37 damage, 30 damage. Suddenly, I die to turret.
Now we have seen a North American team try and execute a very specific lane swap strategy on the first tower, where you actually let the tower execute you.
Yeah, and
I'm sure it was on purpose.
To use that strategy,
not,
you obviously need to use Summoner Heal too to really make it flashing.
Exactly, because you got to make sure that it looks like you're actually fighting the tower. You then pop the heal. In the end, though,
there is a counter to that strategy.
If you do die to the tower, it's actually faster than backing early on.
The counter to that strategy is obviously to engage Rift Herald, 2-man on low HP.
Yes. Which team was it? Is there a guy in here who maybe owns that?
Yeah, I don't think anybody knows.
No.
We'll revert to the analyst desk.
Banditos, something. I'm not too sure what they're called.
He's willfully ignorant here. Does look like the issues have been sorted out, guys. We're going to be jumping back into game in a second. Fun fact for you guys, of course, normally we see RNG in the LPL, they're behind at 10 minutes. They have a deficit of gold, and then at 20 minutes, they have the highest lead in the LPL.
Yeah.
What happens in that 10-minute window that gives them such a big boost?
I know. They kill people and they take towers.
Basically, I mean, the first 10 minutes is setting up lanes for them and then setting up that deep vision with Marta and MLXG moving into the jungle. Obviously, you don't get any kills by placing the ward at the moment you place it, but then a minute later, when you then catch someone out of position because you can spot them, that's where they start picking up the kills, most likely after the 10 minutes, and that's where they start getting these gold leads and set up tower dives and pushing towers with like a Graves, who will farm a lot here from MLXG, and then they start really snowballing out of control. And then, of course, you got to rush the 20-minute Baron if you are RNG.
A little duel here. Spirit walks in. You see, very hard to deal with MLXG on that Graves. I really like what he does together with Xiaohu. Usually, if at least one of them brings CC to the table, because their jungler mid synergy is so pleasant to watch. Week 1 he was playing the Graves, but then it was LeBlanc on Xiaohu, and they really made some fantastic pickoffs overall. This time, though, I don't think he's going to get too much traction in the mid lane against the Zed, because there's just no crowd control on that Victor.
And we're gonna get a CS advantage for Gamsu, because Fnatic were that much quicker on taking down that tower, so he will pick up a bit extra before he gets forced away by Vush on this Kalista. And then we just again have very standard swap around with the lane swap. So now it's not about the tier 2 tower, or sorry, the second tower going down. It's gonna be about what happens after the next tier 1 goes down. Like, where do you swap your AD carry to? Can you aim for maybe another tier 2?
This stage, we did see a little bit of an invade there. Of course, Spirit made his way towards the jungle with Clyde in tow, and he's actually continuing that now. He's already got himself through. He managed to push MLXG away, who's probably going to be looking to farm quite heavily, I dare say, in this early stage.
Oh yeah, he will. He always farms super heavily on Graves. 100% win rate, by the way. Played it 7 times in the LPL, most played jungler. But right now, as we see him kill that poor Raptor, doesn't stand much of a fight and against, or much of a chance against the shotgun. You can see how far behind RNG actually is on getting to this tower. Fnatic is already taking the top tower down to like 15%, and they're gonna kill it very, very quickly compared to what RNG can do. And that just, again, gives more farm to Gamsu, because he will get more time to sit there before someone comes and pushes him away.
It's that Alistar pick, man. Just a trample on the tower. Really, all these bits helping out.
And now we're gonna see a very standard European play. Instead of pushing in for a tier 2 on top side, you bounce the wave again, give it to your top lane, and then you take a Rift Herald. What you want to do now is give it to your jungler. In this case, they actually seem to not do it, which is a little bit surprising. Okay, it kind of does the same.
I think what they want to do right now is get a 4-man group on the bottom lane and just go for that tier 2 tower, and they're going to use that wave that's pushing in right now.
Yes.
So Looper's pushing that wave. That wave's going to be caught by Reckless. It's going to bounce, and it's going to be stacked up into multiple waves. Together with the Herald buff, they kind of want to set their eyes potentially on tier 2 bot lane.
My problem with giving to the AD carry is that's exactly the play they're looking to make, but you want to give it to your jungler so you can actually get faster back into the jungle, do 2 or 3 camps, and then also kind of surprise the enemy, because you're going to have your AD carry support build up this wave, push it into tier 2, and then the jungler shows up and buffs up all the minions, and it's very hard for teams who haven't seen the Rift Herald strategy before then react. You see it now from Reckless already, so RNG should know what's coming.
Well, MLXG might be in a bit of trouble. Here's the ground and pound. Kly's coming forward and exhaust on towards MLXG, and Fnatic walk this one big time. MLXG, nowhere to go. First blood, Fnatic.
I mean, look at the minimap. On the top lane, we see Kalista, we see the Braum right there. MLXG knows this push is going to come in the bottom. Okay, guess what? The Herald buff is on Reckless.
RNG's lost right now. They're completely lost on the map. They have no clue what's happening, because they're trying to mirror what Fnatic is doing, but Fnatic has the Rift Herald buff and a massive minion
They're not
wave
even
on the
trying to
bottom
mirror.
side.
Like, MLXG is just completely lost in between. Yeah, the dual lane is in the top side because they're just not used to playing out this phase of the lane swap, and now we see exactly what Fnatic set up literally a minute and a half ago by taking that Herald.
I thought as soon as they saw Reckless getting the Rift Herald and buffing the minions when he came bot lane, they would actually have an idea what was happening.
But you make the classic mistake. You assume that these Chinese teams actually use the information that's on the map.
They're going to go in there as well, looking for MLXG. He's in the mix, and Gamsu gets the teleport in. MLXG not having a good time at all. Gamsu takes him down. Looper trying to help Marta in some way, but he's forced to flash. Spirit wants to chase, doesn't get the slow. But Xiaohu, he's going to get pressured. Forbidden coming out of nowhere. Now the damage really coming down. It's another kill going towards Gamsu. A curtain called as well. Fnatic are all over this. Looper just gets away.
Flashing the crit in the end here, but Fnatic, they get everything they want. Rift Herald buff into pushing bottling. We see it time and time again in Europe. And then the response from RNG is like, let's try and fight our way out. Let's go down, try and defend this tower by moving 3-man in, but it's too easy for Fnatic when they have all 5 members around the bottom side to take that fight, because Kalista is sitting top with obviously no global.
Yeah, and Gamsu TP's in too, so Fnatic in complete control at any given point. Could they always opt out of this play? So they only went for it because they knew it would work. They had everything set up. The play was telegraphed, but still executed perfectly, and this is something we were lacking from Fnatic over in European LCS. It was some of these bigger picture plays where the entire team had to work together. But look at this, the ward's there already. Gamsu is in the mid lane, but he's gonna TP over. Febiven will make his way over, and at this point, with Whoosh stuck in the top lane, solo pushing on one of the stronger early traders in the game, yeah, obviously it's gonna be very hard for RNG to even get one single kill in this fight.
And Kalista didn't even get the tower. She didn't have time. Her minion wave died, and the rest of her team had also died in the bottom lane. So tower goes down, more kills for Fnatic, and this is just outplaying on a macro level in these lane swaps. It's not taking the first tower, it's not taking the second tower, it's what happens after. And I just like that play with kill tier 1 top, take Rift Herald. Again, normally give it to a jungler, but give it to AD carry kind of gives the same. Take that big wave on bot side, because you know the enemy top lane is trying to freeze that wave, so it's already pretty far pushed up, and then push it into tier 2.
Even in the mirror, you still win out because you have the stronger, minions, and because you make that play and you gravitate 4 towards bot, you can always teleport your top laner in, because their AD carry is stuck on the other side. So it's kind of a win-win situation for Fnatic here, and they're obviously reading the game.
And we so often talk about this, you know, how fast can you kill these towers in lane swap and how important it is to be 5-6 seconds ahead. And a lot of people feel like, oh, it's not that important, but it is, because that's why you can set up plays like this. And you know the other team has only one real response that's trying to defend, and that's not good. Let's see what happens.
You're gonna try and fight again. Klai, this time caught a little bit far forward as well.
He missed.
Collateral damage gonna miss. That's a huge job coming away from Spirit. He sets it up beautifully. Fate's call comes in though. Marta now wants to get out of dodge, but Whoosh is gonna stay. He takes down Reckless. Gamsu now in the mix, but he's got 2 to deal with, and Xiaohu makes the rotation through. He gets the shutdown gold on Gamsu, and Spirit and Klai have to back off very sheepishly.
Yeah, really big cast there from Spirit. Puts MXG in the casket. He goes down. But then Klai, he was a little bit overextended forward, you know, wanted to get that tower a little bit
that a few
hard. Fnatic, the thing I want to point out is look at how massive this wave is. Every single tower push Fnatic is doing is assisted by so many minions overall.
Yeah, and this of course starts with that wave that was pushing by Kalista before, slow pushing out, but Klai making the classic support mistake. You are melee, you're like, I'm gonna help kill this tower. And then he stands too far, and that starts the fight, and he's now no longer able to peel for his AD carry, meaning that Kalista can go aggressive in the back line. Alistar is out to Klai. In this case, your damage is not relevant on the tower. Just stay back, peel for your backline, and then this fight would never have happened.
Also, if he ever, you know, uses his heal, he activates his passive, his trample, and then anybody just needs to walk next to him to force him to get tower aggro. So it's never worth for an Alistar to even get remotely under the tower, because your job is to peel and disengage.
I mean, if there's anyone that we are seeing getting caught by being too far forward for Fnatic, it is Klai. But now, Lupa may actually be the one caught. Gamsu wants to come forward. Frozen domain being used, but you can see rotations coming in from the mid lane here. So, I mean, if Gamsu is going to make a run of this, he's going to have to get out.
No, he realizes it, because you always can look at your minimap, right? You see 4 people from your team on the bottom side, and you don't see anybody else from their team. Well, it is very likely that they're on the way to kill you. And this time, Gamsu doesn't fall for it.
Fnatic needs to push mid here, though, to try and force RNG to not just take that.
Xiaohu's in the jungle right now. He didn't stay mid for wave clear. This would have been a solid play from RNG if they left the Victor in the mid, but he's now going to get zoned off by Spirit. So Fnatic actually turning on the pressure.
Oh, Lupa didn't get tower either, and they're tanking it.
Keep his verdicts being used. Gamsu's going to come forward, but Whoosh close by. You can see RNG always sort of tending towards that top side of the map, and now Reckless going to use that curtain call, but Marta studiously has that shield up just to keep his teammates nice and healthy.
And meanwhile, Fnatic pushing mid. There is still a chance for a collapse here from RNG. They're coming in.
Marta is going to go with the Winter's Bite there. Doesn't connect, but there's a teleport coming in. Klai positions himself forward here, but Fnatic, they're on the wrong side of this lane. RNG is setting up. They're going to collapse.
Oh, the tower!
Great headbutt back into the tower. Xiaohu's going to be caught up, and the ground and pound comes in. He didn't know what hit him, and now RNG are trying to back away as 4 here. Winter's Bite to slow Reckless down, but Febiven is off towards the side. There's the exhaust. Whoosh is going to get completely destroyed here. Febiven coming through. Whoosh finally drops. Marta now as well trying to back away, and Lupa, they share the same fate. They both go down, and that is a 4 kills already.
That's going to be an ace.
Has to escape, and Reckless with a flash forward. He wants to make it happen. One more, and he'll have it too. Somehow the flash.
W. No.
Oh.
And well, XG just defying death for the moment, but I think it's pretty clear he's going to die one way or another. just tempting Fnatic to try and waste their time
Yeah,
with him.
he needs to buy more time, like maybe a second more. Does he get it? Yeah, there we go.
Executed.
Still, 4 kills for Fnatic. It looked like they were being trapped by RNG, but the difference was there was no tower in the mid lane for RNG, but there was for Fnatic. And this is one of the things I really like about Cly. He makes a mistake before, doesn't matter. He's still ready to make a play right after. He's in the front line here on the other side. And then he sees, okay, we have a tower. And look at Xiaohu here on this Victor. He's so far behind. And then he moves close to tower. Instant Cly spots it and is like, thank you very much.
Yeah, it's a creative move here from him to do that Xiaohu with no flash available up. I like that Cly spaces out the combo there to go for the knockback into the knock up under the tower. And at this point, yeah, the fight's over. 5v4, Victor's out of the fight.
Cly, you're not stuck in. I'm not stuck in here with you. You're stuck here with me. Look at the press through as well.
Yeah, and then Cly, he does make some of these mistakes going over eager, but at least he's proactive and he's not afraid to make that aggro move again, you know. And obviously he trained in the grounds in solo queue over in Europe. And if you want to get high in solo queue in Europe, you got to be tilt free. So that's really good.
Have to be aggressive in multiple ways.
Yep.
I don't know how NLXG actually escaped there as well. It was one auto attack would have done it, but real-time flash over the wall. At least he's going to be able to go over towards the Rift Herald, picks up the buff, that's MLXG, and continues to go towards blue here. The dust may just settle. Spirit gets the steal. That is a very cheeky man. And the blue ring goes to the big man.
Spirit stepped up this tournament, man. The later games he's played, so fantastic performance on Lee Sin with the flanks, the kicks, now on the Gragas too. Really essential for Fnatic to be that front line. Now he's finally giving some space in these fights for Febiven and Reckless to step into and just deal their damage.
Just the entire synergy for Fnatic, and the fact, again, they have more early game punch than some of these pick and ban phases where Crepo, you and I, we were almost crying after watching it with like Maokai, Gangplank mid, and Ezreal, and we were just like 30 minutes scaling and nothing else.
It's our version of the Notebook. We watch it together
basically, yeah,
multiple times and cry.
Cry and cuddle and whatever happens. Issue is for Fnatic, when they run these late game comps, Spirit has no impact in the game because he can't. If you have losing lanes, as a jungler, you can't do anything.
5 turrets to 2 now for Fnatic, and that gold lead is creeping up a little bit. Now, this is supposed to be the period where RNG start finding fights, opening up the map, and actually getting ahead in gold, but they don't seem to be off to a great start on that count.
Yeah, now it's for Fnatic to prove what they're doing with the synergy. How can they close? Because now, for a lot of these games Fnatic have played, they were kind of behind and did a phenomenal comeback, you know, that everybody was very happy about. But now Fnatic are convincingly in the lead, and they need to close. And step 1 to closing is obviously deep vision.
And step 2 is catching out the enemy support.
Pillar of Frost is going to catch Mother out. We do see the Glacial Fissure used just to try and back them off, and it may have worked for now, but MLXG somehow finds himself in the front line. We do see Curtain Call coming across the top. Reckless, not sure about what target he wants here, but MLXG falls. The snipe is real right now. Febiven did go down. Fnatic now just regrouping a moment.
One thing Fnatic has always done well was playing 1-3-1 split pushing. They understand the value of pushing all 3 lanes at the same time, and you're almost holding hands. Even though it's through the jungle, you have to have really long arms. When you push down together, you make it almost impossible for the other team then to break this 1-3-1, because if you gank the bot lane, well then your top tower dies, or your mid tower dies. And that's what Fnatic does well. They're going in again!
Spirit, big flash, big ult, and a big kill. Now Xiaohu as well forced to Zhonya's, but Fnatic look on, just waiting, licking their lips to get that kill. Marta charges in, fearless and brave, but will it be enough? I don't think so. Gamsu fell, of course, to Victor. Fnatic will probably disengage.
Yeah, they're trading kills for kills here overall. Fnatic getting the better end of it though, 2 for 1. In the jungle, it was a 1 for 1 trade overall. RNG managed to defend the tower, but
it's small things they're getting, but Fnatic every single time seems to get just 1 or 2 more kills or an extra tower, a little bit more fun, because while all this fighting is going on, remember all these minions being pushed down that people have to clear, they often end up dying to towers.
Yeah, it's a little bit forced though, this play from Fnatic, because yeah, Malta goes low, but the Fate's Call pulls him out, and then Febiven gets a bit surprised by this knockup, and he has to now to trade his life. So mid laner went from 100 HP to 0.
Yeah,
as opposed to a 20% HP MLXG. I think that was a little overeager from Febiven. But at this point, we are nitpicking. Fnatic so far, 5,000 gold up here in the semifinal. This is not something anybody really expected going into the tournament.
And we saw Lupa had no teleport before, and he was sitting top. So Fnatic probably just made the call, 4v5. Febiven, as you said, a little bit too greedy, jumping forward. I think he also just lost control because Kalista was pulling in Braum, and that was the main target. So he actually clicked the ulti, and then when Braum gets pulled in, he kind of stops in place. And
yeah,
then
he didn't expect that movement pattern. Also, it just shows you how good Braum is in fights against the Zed if he can exhaust them and then get the knockup. you only 4 auto attacks required to stun him, and then Fevin will get CC down. So this is why, just as you said, Fnatic will look likely to put him in the side lane, 1-3-1, unlock that 1v1 potential at least from the Zed, make vision in between the lanes, and then look for picks, then go for the objective.
And some very good things about this Fnatic comp is Jhin in mid lane has very long range on his wave clear, so he can sit very far back. Another catch maybe?
And also assist with the picks though if he uses the snare.
Fnatic coming down, we're trying to look to pick up the kills. Actually, RNG was sat there waiting for them to show. And now on the analysis desk, they were saying, can Fnatic hold on? Can they get to that point where RNG make mistakes? Now the question is, can Fnatic close out, capitalize on this lead and finish the game? 180-degree difference.
If Fnatic can play lane swap every game, then this strong early game of RNG is never going to be really impactful in any way possible, because in a lane swap, you don't play 2v2 or 1v1, you just play side lanes, you play PvE for most of the time. And that's why Fnatic have looked way stronger in this game.
The entire setup though, 1-3-1, split push the side lanes,
pushing.
Collapse for the mid lane. They're really just in complete control. They just need enough wards right now. That is the limiting factor, because you used to play 1-3-1 really well with just a bunch of wards or 2 side stones. Obviously in this meta game, junglers no longer go side stones, so you can get lost in rotation a couple of times.
Right. Need a lot of pings. 5 pings basically. 5 pings on every back, because you want to move these pings around.
Yep. Start
them in the river, then move them into enemy jungle when again you hold hands and move forward. Potential fight, maybe?
Pillar of Ice being used there. Spirit always the first one to come forward here, but perhaps he thought twice about it. We did see collateral damage being used at least across that one very, very early. There's the knock-up though. Nice Glacial Fissure. Whoosh is in the back line, trying to damage down Cly, and the Chaos Storm comes over the top. Spirit getting towards the back of this one now. There's Reckless. He's waking up. Vivin comes forward. It's curtains. Oh my lord, it is curtains for RNG at this stage. MLXG just trying to get away, but you better believe the cow's coming to make that pasture his own.
RNG is just full panic mode here. Notice how to take a fight where Alistar and Gragas are already in the front line in a small choke point. You cannot hit anyone. Even Gamsu joins in, so it's all the tanks in the front. Reckless is just safe in the back.
We saw Mata miss the knockup with Fake Skull because he just wanted to kind of go around this beefy front line and knock up the back line, but he couldn't simply reach them. Good positioning in the back line by Fnatic, and the front line, double tank, giving the space. It looks like Fnatic's hardest task this game will actually just trying to avoid dying to this Baron, which they succeed, and
there it is,
multiple
boys.
times got 4 kills, 5 kills against his RNG squad.
So looking at the position from Fnatic, Spirit in front line, then Cly is going to join the front line, Gamsu from the flank. That means you can't really move past this massive front line here. Great CC from Cly, Gamsu in here. Fevin, even though he gets engaged on, is safe. Reckless up until this point is almost untouched. He got an exhaust, and that was about it. And here's the ulti. Your front line will just take so much time to kill, and therefore you win fights.
Yeah, and then exit stage right. Here's Cly, and that's curtains. Or RNG.
This is also RNG's downfall in the LPL, though. If they are 10,000 gold ahead or 10,000 gold behind, it doesn't change the way they play.
It's not a structured plan to get back into the game. It's let's fight, let's fight. Have we tried fighting yet? Let's try fighting one more time.
But to be fair, I can't even blame them in this one. I actually think you have to just take crazy team fights this far down, because we mentioned this Victor pick coming into the game. Against 1-3-1, he has so little value. He's built now with Hourglass. He's actually not even very strong despite picking up 3 kills. No one can stand in the bottom lane against the Zed. So even though you are super far behind and you could technically try and turtle, you will lose something at a point because you can't defend all 3 lanes, and therefore try and go for fights honestly and see if you can just punish Fnatic if they misplay a team fight.
Hands draw closer around the throat of RNG. Fnatic now pressing in towards his mid lane, but look, they're playing the 3-1-1 as well. They've got every lane pushing, every lane coming straight in towards the face of RNG. And RNG definitely have to wonder how they're going to work around this one here. So much damage being done to that mid tower.
And even better for Fnatic, they managed to take these early dragons because they were so far ahead in the lane swap, meaning they have the burn on the towers, making it so much easier for 1-3-1 to break into the base. It's always the problem when you get to inhib towers. It's hard then to break in and kill them. But when you have this burn from the second dragon, it becomes a lot easier.
Yeah, with the Baron buff, the burn, the individual lead they have. Fnatic right now, it feels like the package is better. Like in total as a team, they're working a lot better, but individually so many members stepping up. Like we also always joke, is it gonna be Gamsu or Gatsu this time? And he's played fantastic so far in the tournament. Spirit too, it looks like everybody has leveled up on Fnatic.
It was a mid inhibitor down now, and RNG have got to fight at some point. I think they might start here. Marta in the mix. It was a big knock up towards Fnatic, but Reckless just blew him the heck up. MLXG gets started on. Wushin got knocked into enemy territory, and now they're trying to pressure towards Forbidden, but it's another curtain call here, and this might be the final one. MLXG trying to get back. Xiao, who somehow escaped, but he's got to sit in the fountain and wait now. That was a 4-for-0. Fnatic looks like they know how to close up the game. Perfect start for Fnatic. They, gentlemen, are going to finish this off and go 1-0 in this semi-final.
After we try and kill the Victor in the fountain.
Oh, just because they can.
Uno mas.
all right, Fnatic. I like your style. I like the cut of your jib, gentlemen. All smiles for Fnatic right now, and it's a great start.
Will have over the Chinese teams is that when it comes to lane swapping, every time you feel like, okay, now we understand lane swap, you add another layer to it. You always find something new you can do, and it's turned into this, you know, keep swapping lanes for the first 10-15 minutes, and you can see RNG has only managed to understand the first part where you take down the tier 1 towers. Now they gotta learn another part, otherwise Fnatic will lane swap again and can potentially set up the same kind of play. So this is exactly why we pointed out that these LPL teams, understanding the macro lane swap to perfection almost, it's not there.
Well, Fnatic are starting things off with a bang and definitely putting smiles on their own faces and those of the European fans. Let's see if they can keep the dream alive, but for now, let's pass it over to our expert desk and they can break this one down under the microscope.
Thank you very much, guys. What a convincing win for Fnatic. They started strong, they got a lead, and they pushed it further. I mean, why would they give them away Jhin?
I think we have to start with the big bans here. I mean, we talked about this coming into the game, but Royal decides they're going to ban out a Lee Sin, a Thresh, and a Nautilus. First off, I think you just first pick the Nautilus, like I said, and you take out the Rammus and the Jhin. That way, you force Fnatic away from some of these picks. The Jhin worked very well again. But that wasn't the only thing, obviously, that happened, is the casters were just going over. These lane swap situations caused them to fall so far behind. And when you get that far behind, against a 1-3-1 split pushing comp, let's think about their wave clear. Poppy, well, that's not going to help. Blade of the Ruined King versus Kalista, that's not going to help either. And I think that one of the worst decisions that Royal made was Whoosh not getting Hurricane first onto Kalista, so at least they would have some form of wave clear against a 1-3-1 comp that was so far ahead.
Yeah, definitely the case. We've got a replay, actually, of that first siege. Let's pull it up onto your screen. It is a little bit of build-up, so I just want to highlight the fact that it's not the first time that this has happened. The Rift Herald was secured, it's Fnatic pushing down on the bottom lane, and then they're going to start this dive, Monty.
Yeah, and like Crepo said, this play was very predictable from when and where they got the Herald buff, and so they're just zoning them off the backside of the turret here, as expected. And then they're going to TP in because Royal just overcommits. MLXG is too far up, and of course, you're not going to be able to retreat once the Pillar of Ice is there, once the Alistar is comboing you. They can simply walk between the towers and take everybody out.
I think one of the great things about this part too is, yeah, Fnatic used the Rift Herald buff, but this was kind of the beginning of Fnatic being very, very good about being decisive, about jumping on members of RNG that were out of position a little bit, getting those kills. I mean, that's what really snowballed the most, right? Is whenever they were able to find an RNG member that was vulnerable, they immediately jumped on him, immediately took him out. It's really impressive stuff.
It was, especially when you consider how many times Fnatic made mistakes trying that yesterday.
Yeah.
Like, it felt like there was a lot more coordination. It also felt like as a team when they were committing, they didn't have that lag or that delay that we were experiencing yesterday, Toa.
It's a lot tighter, that's for sure. I'm a popular guy with the camera right now.
I do think it may seem harsh to criticize a team that just won a game in 25 minutes.
Yeah.
But I do think Fnatic overcommitted to some of those dives just a little bit of the time. I think they could have taken a breather. They were snowballing very fast anyway. You don't want to give your enemy an opportunity to trade evenly when they're down. Give them time to defend. I think they could have set up some more sieges, especially in that mid lane tier 2. But that's a really, really small quibble, right?
Yeah.
And Royal has to figure this out. They completely got dominated by the pressure, and without any kind of wave clear, without any of these items, they looked lost. So beyond the problems that I think are in picks and bans for Royal, in that we've seen Fnatic do so well with this Jhin, it stretches into even deeper territory when it's just an inability to play the map early.
Right. Well, I mean, if we jump ahead to around like 12-20 in the game right now, RNG finds himself in an even worse position. I mean, they find themselves between Fnatic's turret and Fnatic the team, and that's not what you want to be, especially if there's an Alistar around to headbutt you underneath it, as we're going to see in our next replay.
Yeah, pull it up onto the screen, and I quite like this play because this was a signal to me that Fnatic were actually finding some confidence, and they get the tower, roll the clip out, teleport comes in, and Fnatic go, hang on a minute, you've made a mistake. And then they decide to initiate Monty.
And we criticized Clive for his Alistar play yesterday, but he finds the right. He's just waiting for it. And you can see they're standing in a line and slowly zoning them backwards until they can get Xiaohu right underneath the mid turret. And it just starts off this chain reaction where now they're in a 4v5 situation on the wrong side of the map. Royal has to run. There's simply too much engage coming through here from the members of Fnatic, and it's a pretty easy cleanup, and they just get a huge number of kills.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at Cly again, too, this is a guy that we talked about this, you know, he was playing solo queue a few weeks ago, right? And now he's making plays like that. What a meteoric rise for this player.
Yeah, I completely agree. I want to see if he can keep it up for the rest of the series. For now, though, Chobra, okay, go for it.
I want to see if he can play more than 2 champions.
Ah, that's a good question, too.
I don't care. I just want him to play well. Right now, we're going to hit to Chobra, who's waiting on the floor.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, at the expert desk. I am here. I'm just going to dub this now the question desk because I return with 2 more questions. The first one is, of course, how are you enjoying the Intel Extreme Masters World Championships? We are on our final day, and we want you to let us know with hashtag IEM. How are you watching it? You are watching it with of course, 2 monitors. I mean, we live in this day and age where you got to have 2 monitors so you can enjoy everything. You are video chatting with your friends and watching it while you're doing homework. Ooh, I don't know if I really recommend that one, but I do appreciate it because you're still watching some great League of Legends and with your Poros. That is awesome. Continue to tell us how you're enjoying today as we continue towards the final here in the Spodek Arena. But the real question is, I said I came with 2 questions. The real question is, will Jhin get banned next game? Let us know. Hashtag IEM. Do we want to see Jhin banned or not? Let's find out right after this break. Oh, that's the Katowice I know. When we come back to the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship, we are about to go into the second game in the semifinal, but I noticed my blunder because I called it the question desk, but now I'm here with an answer. So we're gonna have to fix that title. But the answer to the poll we had, will Jin be banned? A lot of you thought yes, but not quite convincingly. So we'll have to wait and see. Maybe some of you will be right. And now, while I seem to have all the answers, I don't want to take the fun away from Monty because he loves those picks and bans. So let's go back to the expert desk.
Thank you very much, Chabra. Welcome back to the Expert Desk and the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship. We're about to jump into Game 2, where Fnatic are currently 1-0 up against Royal Never Give Up.
But they're never going to give up, Trevor.
No, they will not, but I agree, #Spirit is a god. He's really showing up this series, and I want to see if he can do it again. Pick some bans. What do you think, Doa?
I'm just worried Spirit's going to disappoint the fans by not giving them a full 3-game set. I mean, he's running a little bit of risk here, but we'll see. There's still, it's still another game. We don't know if RNG is going to be able to kind of figure something out, if that was just kind of a fluke. We'll see.
Yeah, I guess we will. Picks and bans will be jumping underway in a second.
Wow.
Let's kick this one off. Lissandra and Corky have been taken away by Fnatic, who are now on the blue side. And Monty, you're going to be so happy. Jin has been banned.
Thank you.
I'm not happy. I like watching Jin.
Hey, I like watching him too, but for a competitive series, I think you just have to take it out of the pool right now. And the Corky, that's what I thought Fnatic was going to ban actually in game number 1. We didn't see it there. Now it's going to make its appearance, and the Zed will be banned out also. Lulu's still up. Lulu will be taken immediately by Fnatic. But the Kallista's now banned out here, of course, by Fnatic. I'm actually surprised they banned out the Jin when the Kallista was also banned, but there you go.
Do you think there's a chance that we could see Fnatic going for something like a Juggernaut composition? That we could see Reckless grab the Kog'Maw, they could try to protect that?
Possibly. It's also the Lucian could be a major pick here, as we see the Lulu-Lucian combination used quite a bit.
Yeah.
Certainly Kog'Maw is a champion we've seen from TSM, but no one else so far this tournament.
Now, Nautilus still has been untouched in this pick ban. It's an opportunity for RNG to grab that right now.
I like that idea. Also, as a note, the one time that Febvivins played Lulu this year, it was comboed with a Reckless Kallista, and they had a very good performance, but obviously Kallista is banned out, so we'll see what they're going to decide to combo with in this pick and ban.
Oh, Gragas, and there's a Kog'Maw.
Wow,
He's gonna
Kog'Maw
grab that right away.
Really early.
Yeah. Without the Lulu to protect it, too.
Well, this is dangerous because they like to play Nautilus. Nautilus has that point-and-click ultimate that you can get back onto a Kog'Maw with. They take away the Gragas, which is great because that's one of the most disruptive champions against Kog. But also, the Trundle's still available here, and I don't know if Cly will be able to do well as he has on Thresh and Alistar against, or with the Trundle. But the Trundle is so disruptive on Kog'Maw because he needs to stand still to auto-attack. And if he's doing that, there's a Trundle just pushing him out of the way with the pillar, and then he's got this Nautilus just getting back into the back line, using that depth charge on him. He's basically not going to have any uptime on his auto attacks.
Yeah, I think Trundle is really effective against Kog'Maw, but the question is, can Cly play it? There's the Braum. I guess that might answer our question. If that gets locked in, it looks like it will. Yep, so Nautilus,
I also like
let's look up the Nautilus.
I like the Braum to deny the protection for Kog'Maw as well.
Yeah, and also it can block a lot of those Kog'Maw auto attacks coming in with the Unbreakable. So yeah, there are reasons to like the Braum here as long as they have sufficient backline threat. If you just have the Braum and you don't have anything to stop him from auto attacking, congratulations, you blocked a bit of damage, but ultimately you're still going to get poked out.
Yeah, you need to get on the Kog'Maw somehow. But the question is for RNG, how are they going to protect this Kog'Maw? Alistar could certainly help. Mata definitely not too bad of an Alistar player. Oh, I like the Bard too.
I get so worried when I see poke compositions with Bard as the support, because does it work? Yes, it can work, but it is really difficult to pull off because if you mess up with the Bard ult or with one Cosmic Binding, your AD carry can die.
I mean, you hear the term glass cannon a lot, right, across many video games and many things, and that's really what that is if you have Bard as your quote-unquote protection, So it's going to be Alistar, Ezreal, a little bit more reasonable, but Ezreal, interesting. We don't see a ton of mid-lane Ezreal these days.
No, and that is a bit curious, but I guess Xiaohu really wants to take that pick. They are going to take the Alistar. So they
technically one game played for the record. Xiaohu.
Yeah, it is
8-0-6. Good performance. I don't know which patch that was on, but I have the stats.
I can think of one patch that definitely might have been on. So I don't think it's going to be Twitch for Fnatic. Not quite yet. Needs some buffs.
You never know at this stage.
That is true. Yeah.
I mean, Reckless played Jhin, pulled it out of nowhere, surprised everybody in Europe. I think it's going to be a Lucian. Lucian Lulu is such a good combo.
It would be
Agreed.
the most logical pick. Yeah.
Fnatic has very low damage, though, and I think that's my primary concern with them, is that they are super reliant on Reckless's performance. They have a Lulu in the mid lane where if Lulu goes even, she's not going to be doing a lot of damage in the mid and late game. Of course, the damage from Lee Sin will fall off, even if his utility and his ability to play around these two AD carries, get some nice kicks off. Spirit was obviously great at doing that yesterday. But man, Reckless is going to have to go huge here.
It might be a top lane Trundle for Looper. Wouldn't be too bad. But yeah, one does worry about the damage coming out of the Fnatic team as the game goes on. Thinking about changing over to that Poppy. It'd be another good way to kind of keep people away from the Kog'Maw, I suppose.
I think you take the Trundle here. Just play it into the Nautilus and the top lane. Make sure that you are going to be able to win that split pushing battle and play a 4-1 split composition with your two AD carries and the fact that you have Gragas and this Alistar for the frontline disengage. It just gives you more options. With the Poppy, you're not going to have that same pressure in the top side. Certainly you bring in disengage, but you'd have that anyway from the Trundle pillar. So I think the Trundle just a little bit better here. The Poppy will work, but not as versatile.
5-1 is Lupa's record on Poppy.
Yep.
Pretty good history. We're about 30 seconds away before we head to Casters. This is where Doa and I peace out, gang up on you, Monty.
Be prepared to be judged harshly.
You were right. Doa called it for game 1. He said Fnatic.
Did I? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure,
So,
I'll take it.
Doa, Monty.
I think Royal's going to take this game. Just judging from the draft, yes, they have the Lee Sin. They've got the depth charts to try and deal with the Kog'Maw, but they don't have an answer for both the Kog'Maw and the Ezreal. Certainly there's a lot of physical damage here, which will be great for the Nautilus, but I don't like the fact that Fnatic really tunneled on the one threat. If there had been something like a Fiora in the top lane, I would have liked it a lot more from Fnatic, and I don't think the Trundle for the Poppy is enough to really sway it in my favor, in the favor of Fnatic.
Well, we'll see, man. I mean, Fnatic, they found the picks last game. They might be able to find him in the early game, too. And if they do, they can maybe get that Lulu to do enough damage to counter the Ezreal Kog'Maw in the late game. But, yeah, it's a tall order.
It really is. We'll see whether or not Monty's 2 for 2. Before we do, let's head over to the caster desk as they take us into game.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. I did say I liked the cut of Fnatic's jib, but the question remains, will it still be smooth sailing through to the grand final here at the IEM World Championships? Gentlemen, we saw the draft again. Some questions raised from you, Crepo, especially. You were very vocal seeing how some of that draft played out. Some initial thoughts, maybe before we jump into this?
I mean, starting at the beginning, which is usually where you start. I think RNG wasn't really planning on playing Kog'Maw, but then 2 AD carries banned out. Lulu first pick. They knew they would lose the game if they play against Lulu Kog. As we get some TT tours right here.
Yeah, this is definitely not a standard RNG composition. I am very concerned about their scaling.
I disagree a little bit with Monty.
Too much scaling. 2 seconds, you can get down. Well,
I'm sorry, I'm just excited.
You disagree with Monty. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
All right, I think when you run Ezreal mid lane, he's a fairly slow scaling mid lane. I actually think Ezreal mid lane is absolute trash, but he has no pressure in lane, personally. He takes a long time to scale. Your AD carry takes a long time to scale. Your Poppy doesn't have any pressure against the Nautilus either. You should have gone Trundle, in my opinion. So you have a super late game focused RNG comp, but they are a team who doesn't do well when they are playing from behind. So I'm very concerned for RNG with what they've been drafting here.
I mean, we saw back on 6.2, Faker would actually play a bit of Ezreal mid, and he was often using True Shot Barrage purely for that lane manipulation. So.
Yeah, just want to go back. I do think that Fnatic actually have overall the better draft. Yes, Lucian is like the one threat, but I think Lulu early game actually has one of the strongest laning phases of any mid laner right now. And Nautilus has you got to judge it in push. You know who wins the battle here. So that's why I think this lane swap to slow down the game is actually really important from RNG. Standard lanes would have spelled their immediate demise because Nautilus will have the push advantage, mid will have the push advantage, Braum Lucian will have the push advantage. Triple push with at least seen in your jungle would have been game over. So I really like that RNG went for this lane swap.
It's super important, the lane swap. We just got to see if they are reading the plays from before, because again, when you're the team who's swapping to top side, you lose the chance to make that Rift Herald play. Fnatic will take bot tower, swap top, take another tier 1, take Rift Herald, and then make the same play on the bottom tier 2 tower. That's what we got to see if RNG can react this time.
And one might recall, of course, from that first game when it all started to go wrong for RNG. Down that bot side, of course, their bot in a turret. That is how far Fnatic could push forward. The lane swap worked for them. They had the tempo, and they just snowballed it from there. See this lane swap now as it does play out, guys. I mean, any immediate concerns for you here in terms of how these teams are playing it out?
I mean, right now it's very standard. Both teams, or one team actually fast push in, that's Fnatic. The other team is just last hitting minions and building up a big wave with cannon. That's RNG on top side. But they are being joined now by Looper. They will, again, be behind. So what you would normally want to do now is call in your jungler, if you're RNG, and say, we need you, because we're behind in the push. Jungler, come in, don't do your camp, but we 4-man push tower instead of 3-man push as we normally see. But they're not doing it. He's actually setting up a gank in mid to try and surprise Febiven. This is not standard, that's why Febiven might be caught out.
Well, I don't know what about the Chinese lane swap so far has been standard, and Febiven will just have to... Oh, there's no way to really be aware. It's a flash and a belly slam as well. Febiven able to back away as well. Good movement there as well. He might be able to get out. Xiaohu going quite low here. The ignite ticks down. He's going to be all right. Spirit, great timing to get there.
Yeah, impressive reaction there from Febiven, though. He gets caught out immediately, but it flashes to the right, so the barrel predict there from MLXG, it's a really hard name to say, goes wide, and then a Spirit comes in to help him out there. So that could have been wrong, or it could have gone very, very wrong for Fnatic, but in the end, it's just flash force.
I really like that adaptation, though, from RNG, because you don't see that jungle gank in mid lane anymore in these swaps. He's always busy taking away your walls at this point, or your Gromp, while the rest of the team is pushing top tower, and then he shows up mid with the flash body slam. So really like the adaptation. Spirit had the same plan, though, which is why he was around mid lane and couldn't actually go in and assist, or maybe he was just doing, no, because he's doing Rift Scuttler now, so he was also hovering around mid.
We've seen that a couple of times this tournament, though, so far, so it feels like maybe teams are reintroducing that concept in scrims, when obviously they will play a lot of these lane swaps over and over and over again to break kind of the mold, introducing a cheeky little gank here and there.
And I like it if you trade flashes, or maybe you even get your mid laner a pure advantage by getting him a kill over you taking an extra camp. I think it's actually very smart. So good adaptation. Febiven has no flash, and he's again pushing up the lane. Looper is showing up.
Febiven again. Maybe threatened in just a moment. Looper waiting for his chance. He's going to come forward here. Febiven trying to speed himself up there. The hammer is going to come down, and he's taking a heck of a lot of damage. A shield for Febiven, a short lane, and a safe champion like Lulu is going to guarantee him safety.
These ganks do come at the cost of some tempo, though. Obviously slow you down, or the top laner could be pathing to the bottom lane. It's somewhat efficient here for Looper, though. Just takes a quick stop in the mid lane, pit stop, refuel, then go down to the bottom lane.
Basically just skipped his first back by just running straight from top and down. So he's still going to be able to just bounce his wave. He's not looking to fight anyone, and he's still going to be able to go back and spend all his gold. So again, RNG with some fancy moves early on, putting a lot of pressure on this mid lane, trying to make sure this Ezreal can get ahead, because if you get Ezreal going, then he can get to his 2-item spike quicker, and then he will start having an impact. The problem is when he has a standard farm lane, then it takes a lot of time for both him, your AD carry in this game, and also even the Poppy to really be a threat. It can take too long for RNG. And Fnatic setting up for another Rift Herald play, as we saw in the last game.
It's all based on where they started off in this lane swap here. We do see RNG grouped up towards the mid. They've got a few there. They may just want to pressure down that lane, as Fnatic should have this one uncontested. That being said, a couple pings down in this direction. RNG actually encroaching a little bit here. That's unlikely to want anything more than clearing.
But Fnatic on the same page. Look where Febiven was hovering. He was hovering at his own blue buff, because he knows he can't go up here into the choke, because he will get cut out. But he was ready to help his team in case RNG took the fight at Herald, and he sacrificed some farm for it. So Fnatic, they have a goal in mind at every stage of the game so far. Let's see if they can use this Rift Herald, or whether RNG has learned from the last game.
Well, RNG is already adapting here, because they're already on top side with both jungle and support. Last game, Mata was top side, while MLXG were randomly on the bottom side after the Rift Herald. That's why they couldn't mirror. You see the wave coming now with Whoosh here, and he has support. MLXG, in my opinion, should not start recalling here. He should actually stay and push it down, because now Fnatic is going to take that bot lane wave. And if he's to go back alone, okay, he did cancel, so I like that. Correct play by him. Trade tier 2 tower for tier 2 tower.
And again, it is very much back and forth. Even flow for these two teams, and we did see Gamsu just walk away from that top tower with resignation. That's why there's 3 RNG players now here.
A little bit of difference, though, is that the side stone is already finished on Kai, which means that while Fnatic take control of the deep enemy blue jungle right now, they can litter it with wards, you know, and then back out. So when the lanes do reswap later on, unless they go for an inhib tower push here.
I mean, they
Fnatic
might,
will have a vision advantage.
because they're already here with 4 members, and Looper is kind of saying do nothing. Now, actually, you can't really go for inhib because you have to kill the tower 100%. If you just get it down to like 10%, it does nothing because you're just gonna get all the HP back.
It's better to fall back into Dragon for the secure play. You could opt for it, but I think Fnatic would only make that teleport, that play if they had a teleport on Febiven.
Or if they were like super far ahead on the push, but you can see RNG adapting between the games, saying, okay, you take Rift Herald, fine. We go top side and we just trade tower for tower. You still lose Dragon. That is the disadvantage for RNG, but at least they stay even in gold.
Yeah, Fnatic moved Febiven to pick up the remains of that wave in the top lane, wasn't bounced at all, and then Fnatic will send somebody who finishes his Dragon back to the mid lane, maybe Reckless with the enhanced recall, but Fnatic in this lane swap are weaving in objectives in between these towers. So they get a Rift Herald to boot, they get a Dragon extra, RNG get a little bit of extra farm, but the gold value in these objectives is making it so that Fnatic come out a little bit ahead, I feel.
Yeah, you did see even with the Rift Herald, Fnatic did push down RNG's inner turret in the bottom lane about the same time as RNG did the same. But now Xiaohu might be collapsed on in towards mid here. Spirit, all he needs to do is land that Q, but Marta gets in there as well. The ground pound Spirit is going to get shielded. Will he be able to back away? No! First blood is going to go over towards MLXG, and it looks like RNG want to continue to chase, but Kai is there. Winter's bite, and looks like he's got the bark to match it.
Yeah, and this is big for Royal Never Give Up, because we have to go back to the beginning. What do they want to do? They want to scale. They want to do avoid 2v2 and 1v1 lanes, and they want the lane swap. And right now they predict Fnatic's move and catch out Spirit. Puts them ahead in the early to mid game with a better scaling composition. So our expectation is that Fnatic would snowball, use those lane victories to get deep pressure with Spirit, completely get negated right now because RNG is just simply playing a little better.
And so much going back to them staying even in gold after the swap here. And them getting the swap in the first place when you had weaker lanes. So good start by RNG. Definitely. Now we got to see if Fnatic can match them when they're even in gold. That was the big thing, because last game they were like 5,000 gold ahead once we actually got to team fights. Not going to be the same in this game, and RNG obviously has a strong team fighting comp once they get some scaling.
Well, Fnatic now. We kind of need to dispense with all our thoughts coming into this one. And RNG are actually going to have a lead at 10 minutes, which is quite a rare thing for them, just stylistically. But it's interesting to see these two regions clash in their styles. A very different opening to this game, Crepo, than we saw in the
Spirit
first.
might get caught again.
And it does look like he might be in trouble. You see Cly off towards the side there. Lupa doesn't fancy taking his chances. Fnatic now have to be careful. RNG looks like they're ready to skirmish.
Yeah, they're just defending their jungle interests, not letting Spirit in. And they're in a big power trough right now. If you look at the scaling, they have a tier stacking up with a Sheen on Ezreal, so he's very squishy. They're waiting for that 1,065 or 1,085 gold that the Rageblade upgrade is. So they're waiting for a lot of gold to come in. So they're very weak right now, but they're doing a fantastic job hanging in there.
Oh, RNG is selling their top laner right now because they didn't actually push out the top wave. He has to go and take it himself. And now Fnatic also pushing mid. Good block by Cly. That's a mid tower.
Very nice.
And now again, look at Poppy in this game. 28 CS. She only got to push out the bottom lane. And now this top wave is going to push towards Fnatic. So she can't actually go there because she would overextend and die to a gank. So Looper is in a position where his team is saying, oh, well, we didn't really want to push it all the way out with our AD carry. We value trying to move mid and set up another potential fight. And that now sets Looper really far behind because you need your AD carry to push out the bot wave. Looper has to go up here. You can see Reckless is going to meet him.
If we had the Plays.tv app, we could actually scroll back a couple seconds into the past.
Is that the one on the Google Chrome store?
Yeah, I think it is.
Nice.
I think Looper, he ran top, halfway in the lane, ran back to mid, ran back to top, and now is moving away again. He's only been walking for the majority of the last 2 minutes.
Little mistake here, not a mistake, but a different decision from Fnatic because they want Rift Herald. Normally, you would have put your Nautilus on top side here to take that big wave that was pushing down towards him, and you would just deny as much CS as possible from Poppy. But Reckless actually pushed it out because he wants to take Rift Herald. That means on bottom side, it's Nautilus on his own, pushing out as well. And this will give a bit of farm for the Poppy. So instead of completely denying her, Fnatic said we want to push it out so we can take Rift Herald, but RNG are ready and stops it. So now Lupa gets a little bit at least.
Fnatic are weaving those objectives in, and it is tempo deficits they are bringing themselves. Whoosh now towards the bottom side, and Gamsu is going to have to back away. Of course, that fallen tower was the result of the last Rift Herald Fnatic took, and you can see what they're trying to do with those here. Putting high priority on controlling this area. Again, Spirit seems to have gone back towards that Rift Herald. For Biv and Reckless, all of the gang are there to try and take this one away.
Yeah, RNG doesn't want to fight this one because there's a TP for Nautilus, and obviously Bush does not have a TP. They might go for it anyway.
May indeed try and fight that. True Shot Barrage is down for Xiaohu, but it might not really matter at this stage. Marta comes forward. Reckless gets pinned to the wall. He's still alive for now. It's a giant growth on him as Klai is in the mix, taking a lot of damage. And Xiaohu out towards the back, but Gamsu, right time, right place. He's surrounded now by RNG as Fnatic aren't in a position to follow up. He must stay alive, but Looper gonna charge forward. Look to get the finish. Marta, a great knock-up as well. Damage coming in from Living Artillery. Whoosh, flashing forward. He's getting scary. The Cogmore already. Just the one kill for RNG, but they'll be happy with that, no doubt.
Gamsu decided to walk all the way from the bottom lane. He should have just stayed bot lane, forced Whoosh to stay as well, and then Fnatic could take Rift Herald if RNG wanted to fight. TP in with the Nautilus. There's even a ward behind the Rift Herald pit here, behind the Baron pit. You could have TP'd on, and that would have been a 4v5. But look at your minimap. He's walking the entire way over together with the enemy AD carry.
At this point, it's better for him to just go on a Kog'Maw and peel and let Fnatic win the 4v4. In this fight, we see the power of Braum though. A lot of damage denial here, but the problem is Reckless is out of mana right now, so at this point, Gamsu is stuck peeling when there's no return damage from the 4-man squad, so this is a little bit of miscommunication and just a misread of the team fight. Fnatic also re-entering this fight at this point is straight up suicide. Good aggressive flash from Whoosh there, and honestly, RNG come out better of that fight.
Yeah, RNG has shown that they heavily value fighting over pushing lanes out and kind of setting up lane assignments and giving resources to both top lane and AD carry. And Fnatic, by taking that Rift Herald and actually pushing that top lane at first, they opt into the fight instead of just playing side lanes. You could have just waited for that wave to push down, give it over to Nautilus. Poppy would still be sitting on like, what, 30 CS? And then Reckless would go bot lane and push that out with Klai and Spirit as backup. Instead, they put so much value on pushing out lane, take Rift Herald, and it's given RNG another kill and just stole a blue buff, I believe.
No, Forbidden did get that one, yeah. I mean, important to note, we saw the deficit that Looper had in CS between him and Gamsu. Now look at it, he's actually in the lead. He was down by about 25 odd. And that just goes to show now how important it is to get towards that lane as it's stacked up and just get some gold in your pocket.
And also just Gamsu wanting to walk from bot lane to the fight instead of just pushing it out one more wave. And then either you just start hitting or push it all the way out and try and deny CS, or at least you force the AD carry to stay and then you TP in. Dragon fight will not happen. 2 members are back in base from RNG.
Yeah, Fnatic are going for something that teams do when they have a very early game oriented composition with lack of damage in the late game. It is the 5 dragon win condition. In this lane swap, you do have access to a very early uncontested dragon. With the comp advantage, you generally have access to a second and third dragon pretty much uncontested, and then you can use that to put pressure on RNG, maybe force a bad fight from them, where you then can set up the flank from Gamsu with the teleport, or Spirit come from the side.
TP behind them now, another fight coming.
It's Looper who's going to be joining the party, but will the follow-up be there? Klai is trying to stop him, but look, they caught Reckless. He's knocked up and burned asunder, essentially. We do see the True Shot Barrage come through, but Reckless was already dead to have seen that one. Klai slowed up there as well. Iceborne Gauntlet doing the work. That's a brilliant barrel coming out of MLXG. And still, Fnatic able to limp away. They lost a great little dread slide though. Xiaohu, he goes down. Buffs go to Gamsu and Fnatic get something back.
Still, RNG are controlling these fights here. Great teleport from Looper, and then Reckless being caught out, just flash charge onto him instantly, and it's RNG constantly setting up fight after fight after fight. And now we get one of these games where everyone is just fighting each other.
Yeah, 3 recalls cancelled here. I want to go back to and look at that fight because I think Klai did some major misplays in his peeling for Reckless there. Both his spells missed Q and R, and Reckless went down. Exhaust was available to my knowledge as well, so Fnatic completely caught off guard there. They saw the teleport coming. Maybe the
Pushing
nerves
mid-tower.
getting to the rookie. Yeah, the push here is facilitated because obviously this cancel came out from Gamsu, so later to base, getting some damage shipped away here. No Braum to block though. There he is.
Such a pain that Unbreakable True Shot Barrage not able to cut those waves down. Fnatic get another turret.
Yeah, and it all comes from Gamsu, really. He really set up this play. Got the one snipe to break the siege here from RNG. We'll get to that later. Let's see. Teleport comes in. Fnatic knows this. They ping. They know. So here we go for Klai.
Oh, yeah.
That's just a misplay.
Pretty cut and dry, gentlemen, I think. There's now Spirit.
More action.
All right, Marta getting a bit Marty here. Going to go to Bully Spirit. He does get the knock up as well. Spirit going to get caught. He's forced his ultimate
there.
Completely caught out. But we've seen this tendency from Spirit. When he tries too hard or striving to put Fnatic in pole position, he does get caught out.
Opens up for a mid-tower push from RNG. They didn't even have to use a whole lot here. Ulti still available for Gragas and Alistar. randomly speared in the enemy jungle. Everyone else from Fnatic had already recalled, and now Reckless has to be careful.
I think
RNG can dive this one.
I think he was angry. Reckless was taking his red buff. He's like, I want a buff too. Let's check if the enemy blue buff is up.
Oh, RNG's gonna dive. Fnatic are jumping right into it.
Looper going forward. Reckless has got nowhere to go. Tower hits are coming down, but Reckless has taken more. He will finally drop. Looper picks that one up, and now Cly has to flash away, but Whoosh is there. He's got to go down. Double kill for the Poppy, in fact, as Forviven wants to join, but he's instantly exhausted. Xiaohu was traded in. Forviven able to get that one, and now Gamsu coming forward. Gets the root of mana under the turret. Double kill for Forviven. He's getting some gold in his pocket now. Fnatic have turned it around, and Looper has got a fall as well. Oh my lord, the triple for Forviven, and Fnatic have turned that one around. Brilliant stuff.
Gamsu is an absolute monster this game. Fantastic performance, sniping with the hooks, and then he gets out of that team fight with maybe like, what, 50 health points? Spirit, face checking here.
Not today, my friend.
Still though, Fnatic putting themselves in a very risky situation because you know this dive is happening. You can surrender this tower if it is, or at least wait for minions to die. But let's see. Reckless, again, he's the man to engage on. He goes down, he actually does survive a little bit. Gamsu is now fighting between two towers as a Nautilus with so much CC. And we're waiting for basically the minion wave to die at this tier 1 tower. That's what he sees, and that's why he flashes on Mata to keep him on the tower.
Stunning.
Tower goes onto him. Looper goes down. I didn't even see if Mata had his passive going with the heal, and that's also why he pulled early aggro from tower, or if the minion wave actually had died already.
Yeah, I think that, no, the next minion was barely out of tower range.
Okay.
That's what actually
Just a great play.
Really good play there. Uber, you say stunning, I say snaring. Obviously with that passive.
I'll give you that one, Crepo.
Getting a lot of fights here, guys. We're 18 minutes in. There's been like, what, 3-4 team fights?
Yeah. Not too many people die, no.
Yeah, it was funny. We're seeing so many people just limping away. Fnatic actually getting some value back in some of these fights, even if they started with them in compromising positions.
But it shows you the strength of their composition if they actually are all 5 present in a fight with full resources. Because every lost fight has been either Reckless out of mana or Reckless caught out right now before it even starts, or then Gamsu in that one fight arriving a little bit too late or having the wrong prio. But when Fnatic work together, they just have so much damage. It also helps that RNG was between 2 turrets.
Yeah.
At 18 minutes, normally helps quite a bit, but RNG's been getting quite a lot of kills for a composition they weren't really supposed to fight in the early game. So I actually think they can be very happy with some of these fights and how many kills they picked up, like 3 kills for Whoosh himself. Obviously, the Ezreal hasn't gotten a whole lot, but you're still only almost 20 minutes in, and 2 items is completed very soon.
But I need to cross map right now. They need to push mid, rotate bot if they want to do anything, because Gamsu is about to go down. They know this, though. He's just buying time. Let's see how much time can he buy. While Fnatic is looking to siege on the mid lane.
Gonna have to be an ultimate coming out of MLXG to at least try and tie Gamsu up. But the question is, what value do Fnatic gain from this? Gamsu will fall, almost a foregone conclusion. But there's Forviven. He's got the purple buff, and he's pressing down on towards this inhibitor turret.
He has to kill it. There we go, 2 dragons for them. Got the burn, got the Rift held one more time. Fnatic has really put so much value on that buff, and they use it to constantly set up these side lane pushes with big waves, then buffing them, getting to towers. RNG, again showing they want kills, they want to fight. They don't want this boring play for minions. Spirit, though, might be caught out, and Reckless as well.
Out of mana, though.
MLXG doesn't have ultimate available, but Reckless is going to get giant growth. He can still auto-attack, but he's still in enemy territory. Clyde trying to disengage, at least for now, with that frozen... But Xiaohu going to get his true shot barrage across the fight. Now Looper coming back in from the side. There's a lot of disengages here, but Gamsu again caught in. He's just come back and he gets taken down by Xiaohu. Fnatic a little bit disjointed there.
Yeah, this is a repeat of that Rift Herald fight. Guess what? Reckless is out of mana. We see Fnatic getting caught again there.
Dragon now for RNG. Fnatic essentially just have to back away, concede this one as well. Talked about their win condition. They weren't really able to force a third dragon for themselves here, and RNG get one of their own back.
That's really big for RNG, stopping those dragons. Yes, okay, they lost the inhib tower, but then you pick up a few more kills from it. And one more time, it's also Fnatic always trying to help each other. They're kind of jumping into the craziness of these 5-on-5s. Like, oh, our AD carry's caught out. Yes, he's out of mana, he can't really fight, but TP in, you know, run in, try and help him. And then you just end up getting caught out as well, because Poppy, movement speed, Gragas, body slam, Iceborne, Gauntlet, Ezreal. There's a lot of champions here who's very good at chasing you down. So once you overextend, you probably won't get out alive.
And that's the problem when you play against some of these like hyper-aggressive teams that seemingly always want to fight. Sometimes you just buy into it. You just start fighting. You're like, okay, I guess we're just playing Mortal Kombat here every single time, you know, keep the game on, instead of just resorting back to the pushing game or just let Reckless die. Like if he's caught out, he's out of mana, sacrifice him, reset the play. But instead of trying to always save each other on low resources, because Fnatic, with this composition, they will run out of time. So they need to really use their resources, get everybody full health, full mana, use the fact that Gamsu can soak up and buy a lot of time, and use that to their advantage.
I mean, late game for Fnatic, in order to win team fights, it's gonna be like Gamsu's Spirit making big plays on the back line of RNG and kicking someone back into the face of Reckless. Or we're gonna see Fnatic trying to just kite, because obviously Whoosh won't be dealing his maximum amount of damage if he's not standing still. You can kind of try and kite away from it. It's just so hard against Gragas, Poppy, Ezreal. So we might have to see Spirit go completely crazy with some kicks in late game fights for Fnatic to win. Otherwise, again, RNG being so even in gold at this point, I think they are actually very happy with it.
Whoosh, less than a whisper on the breeze, more of a Kog'Maw actually really starting to turn on. You can see, of course, he's got the Rage Blade and the Hurricane, 4 kills to his name, and definitely looking scary. Like you said, yes, it's to be standing still, but with his team in front of him looking as tanky as they are, looking more and more likely here. Interesting to see how he goes later.
I wonder if he's going to go for both the Mortius and then the Sterak's, because that will make him so hard to kill, because Lulu damage and Gamsu's damage is mostly magical, what's coming at that Kog'Maw, so then he'll trigger the passive and he'll just stay alive in the fight for so long.
Overall, again, RNG happy with the flow of the game. Looking to now play aggressive. No side lanes are pushing for them, so this is finally the time where they can push 5. Spirit.
Tried to knock him out. Don't think they'll get that there. Spirit was actually able to sit behind his turret, but you can see the desire in RNG to isolate that player. It seems like Fnatic actually might want to come forward. They've caught Marta, but Lupa gets in towards the back line. Clyde steps back, shield up in front, protecting his AD carry, but Reckless gets knocked up twice in a row, but then he gets the giant growth. Whoosh gets kicked out the back, but how long will he be able to stay out of this fight? He's back in there. We do see Marta drop down, of course, at the cost of Spirit. Whoosh going very, very low. Clyde coming forward. He's got to lay down the Glacial Fissure. Whoosh is going to be caught. MLXG blocked the Q from Clyde, and now he's going to get caught up. No, Gamsu falling down. He went so deep, and Xiaohu's off towards the side. He now comes in. He's making his presence felt. Whoosh does get the kill there. Fnatic with only 2 left.
Ooh, this fight decided, I think, by both supports overall. Clyde sees the play, wants to snipe, but just barely doesn't get the Kog'Maw, and then obviously baits in his team. But the key thing I want to point out before the Fisho gets his answer, because he's sitting there really anxiously, is the 3-man pulverize that Malta will do this fight, because it delays Spirit's follow-up on the Q that he lands onto Whoosh.
I really just dislike the way Reckless and the rest of his team is starting this fight. They go into the Alistar, and Reckless actually stays super far forward to hit him, meaning he gets hit by all this CC, and now Spirit dives in. He's been zoned out, and he goes down. Same for the Alistar, but you're trading support for jungler here, and now Fnatic gets a little bit too greedy.
Yeah.
When you play against such a fed AD carry, over chasing is almost never a good thing, because unless you get straight onto him and one-shot him, he will just stand there and deal so much damage back to you, and you end up going down. So Reckless here needs to accept the fact that he can't deal damage in the opening of the fight, because every single engage from RNG is onto him.
The engage was a little overeager though, but if it was communicated, I think they could have actually gotten him down with a proxy Q from Lulu, but Featherman was on the side chasing Xiaohu in that fight too, so not on the same page in terms of target prioritization, and I think that was the second thing that went wrong for Fnatic, because even though Mata had that beautiful flash pulverizer combo on 4 people, Fnatic still won the initial phase of that fight.
But we're seeing everything here. We're seeing lane swaps and one team controlling side lanes, another team opting into tons of team fights, and now they're just battling out. Individual mechanics are going to be super important. Synergy between every single member of the team. Like, we're going to get almost everything in this game. And then, of course, we have still a team who doesn't want to go full late game and a team who really wants to go full late game, and they're getting there.
It's so bold from RNG to continuously opt into this fight so early in the game.
Well, they've been going even or winning almost every fight.
Will they continue to do that? I think the answer is probably yes right now. RNG shows no signs of really wanting to slow down at all. We can see him pressing forward here every time MLXG comes forward. He bounces on a knife edge between aggression and, as I said, passivity when he's on that graze, but this time he's just always coming forward, digging players out of those defensive zones. Now he's going to be clearing as well, facilitating also Xiaohu off to the side. I mean, he's not a flashy player, but he's been consistent. He's been setting up a lot. He's been doing a lot of damage for RNG in these fights. Here's Fnatic. Want to come forward, but RNG might have a flank.
Definitely seeing Gamsu's TPing in.
Are they going for the Baron Rush to force the fight?
Because the AD carries bot lane right now, but still, the rest of RNG are here. They're very tanky with Alistar, Gragas, Poppy. This is super risky.
Yeah, pincer from both sides here. Looper on the top side,
They have to back away.
They're going to get collapsed on if they're not careful. Spirit's already down to half health, and Looper's looking for a target. Reckless, though, at least keeps himself back, but there's a true shot barrage. Spirit down to a third. Kai will fall. He's a little bit too far forward there. MLXG is low, but Gamsu's going to have to walk away, and it's going to be a double kill for Woosh. This Cogmore getting scarier. Fnatic tried to bait that, but instead, RNG take it, swallow it, hook, line, and seeker, and are happy to walk away after.
Fnatic getting way too greedy with their call here when you have still 4 members around the Baron 25 minutes in. Obviously, they can go and stop you, and Fnatic doesn't even have a great Baron team.
No, that was just honestly a very, very big mistake. And I wonder what incited it. Was it the Fnatic feeling panic that they're running out of time? Maybe it's a little bit too late for them with their early game. Or like kind of mid-game composition. Yes, Reckless can one-man carry in the late game, but he's kind of in a poor spot in the game right now, opposed to Woosh.
Problem as well for Fnatic is by the time they actually decide to go for Baron, Woosh has already left the bottom lane and he's on his way, so he joins him now fairly quickly after. I think it's one of those situations where as a team you go, oh, AD carries bot lane, and then instead of saying, let's rush Baron, it goes, can we Baron? And you wait for answer that delays it by a few more seconds, and that bought time for Woosh to leave the bot lane, move up towards Baron, and then of course the rest of RNG just go and stop it very, very easily. 3 items now for the AD carry, 8 kills.
That's pretty ferocious.
Yeah, he's involved in 13 out of 15 kills on that Kog'Maw.
Despite him often being off in a side lane as well. You see that he had time to get there. In fact, he actually spent half the fight being knocked up and still came away with 2 kills.
Yeah, everybody is super high kill participation, just showing that even with a scaling comp, RNG, their style is to just fight, fight, fight.
It is, but I mean, coming into the game, we were a little bit, I at least was very concerned with the amount of scaling on RNG's side, in case they would fall behind in a swap again. But the fact they adapted, mirrored the play, and were even in gold. Yes, they lost the Dragon. That's about it. They were even in gold.
It's still
they could fight on even terms.
Yeah, but it still hinges on misplay stuff. Fnatic have made some crucial errors fighting, at least on the wrong times, because
RNG's been playing the fights well, though.
Yeah, RNG have been out team fighting Fnatic completely.
And it's definitely a quality we've known to be associated with teams from their region. Will they be heralding a new era? We'll have to wait and see. They still need to get 2 games, of course, from Fnatic, but the gold lead here, there isn't one. There's about 400 between these 2 teams. Very, very close affair. Despite RNG having double the kills of Fnatic, of course, it's been those turrets. Still 2 turret lead to Fnatic. They managed to work those well early on.
And we're just at that point of the game where the amount of plays Fnatic can make are very limited, because they also lost that Dragon where they tried to go in and save Spirit or save Reckless without mana. Rushing 5 Dragons suddenly gets super delayed. Priority goes down. Baron is here, but you can't properly start it. You're dead even in gold, and you don't want to fight around this Baron pit where you can't really get to the AD carry very easily.
A double threat as well of Xiaohu and Woosh seems to be more than Fnatic can really handle right now. Gamsu and Lupa spending time, of course, towards that bottom side, getting split push on. Lupa has a 50 CS lead here, and he's starting to look very, very comfortable after a rockier start, it's safe to say. He was behind, not so now.
And I'm very happy that we get to see RNG really play their style. Put Lupa in a side lane to just push out waves and farm up, but be ready to always lead that side lane if there is a chance of a fight. Everyone else, constantly. You take one wave and you look, okay, can we go mid? Can we maybe group for a fight around Baron? Constantly looking for it over and over, playing very aggressive in the waves, even with scaling comps, and it's been paying off because they have been punishing Fnatic. And again, that's why we are so even in gold. Reckless needs to get his BT so he can actually survive this big front line when they go in, because once they can't kill him, at least he can stay alive from the engage, and then Fnatic can try and kite around a little bit. Kick away that annoying AD carry who's just standing still and killing everyone.
Pretty clear to see a change in attitude for Fnatic here. After trying to rush that Baron and go for a play, they've now slowed the pace down. They're being a little bit more conservative with their movements. You notice they've gravitated between about here and just a little bit further up the lane, back and forth, just trying to keep eyes on RNG. Now back into base as well. I mean, are they looking for spikes here as well? They're looking for a particular pickup or an item for them to really start turning on. You talked about Bloodthirster. Is that what Fnatic we're looking for?
I think they just aren't quite sure of what to do, because the later we go, the more the game turns into the favor of RNG. Like this Kog'Maw is ramping online. 3 items with a Hex Drinker finish right now. The Bork, so RNG's approach will just be to melt through the front line. And then Gamsu is not tanky enough to withstand that for a while Malta just soaks the damage on the Alistar.
I think we need to see just honestly a Baron bait from Fnatic. Like, your main objective now is this river where Spirit is running around. You're setting up the vision first, and then try and force RNG into a fight. Because, as you said, Crepo, the later we go into this game, the harder and harder it becomes for Fnatic to win. You got 3 items on your Lucian. You can play a bit more aggressive with extra lifesteal and the shield. So this is basically the time for Fnatic to set up, but how many pings do they even have at this point? There's 2, one for Reckless, one for Cly, and there's 1 here in the bush, or 2 actually in the bushes. So they have pretty good setup, but they can't defend it now because now RNG is taking them away.
Yeah, they can't defend it, and more importantly, they can't seem to be able to push mid and top lane to get the deep vision in between those lanes in the enemy jungler. So they will have to kind of go for a forced Baron, and I think that attempt will be thwarted just the same way like RNG did earlier, walk up and try and kill Fnatic. So Fnatic kind of in an impossible situation right now, hoping honestly for a misstep. Somebody from RNG needs to overextend, and then they need to use Frost Queen's Claim combined with Whimsy to really speed somebody up.
Oh, we can also just get a fight in mid.
Fnatic going a little bit too far forward. Reckless, an early flash, but a knockup. Keeper's verdict definitely being laid down. Again, back and forth. Reckless is a pinball in this fight. He's not able to get much damage down at all. The Xiaohu will pick him up. And there's Marta trying to surround out Gamsu's Spirit off to the side. Low health as usual in these first few moments of these fights. Shabivan has to backtrack as well. Now Fnatic, doors are being shut in their face. They're being hit by the doorknob as well. And RNG still with 5. They may even look for that Baron themselves.
And that's the problem. Once you start pushing up mid and you get that flank, it becomes impossible to peel against Poppy charging in, then ulting you, then Alistar flashing onto you, then body slam from Gragas onto you. Like, there's so many ways RNG can get to Reckless and just kill him every time. And his range is too low to really stay alive. He also went for static shiv and not rapid fire cannon. So he doesn't have a way really of getting in and deal any damage because he's always going to be too close to the Alistar, Poppy, and Gragas, or Gragas, and then he dies.
Spirit again, he's caught out. He's a little bit too far forward. He was in his own jungle, but that's not his safe zone anymore. Whoosh is going to pick him up. Remember, RNG and the LPL win 100% of games in which they get the first Baron. Not a good omen for this flagging Fnatic side.
I get another fight though. Reckless again in the front line.
Yeah, it looks like Marta's going to come forward. He gets a knock-up. Reckless again the target of all this CC. He's trying to get back behind Cly's shield, but Cly falls. Reckless isn't far behind him either. And Fabivan is just caught in that icy area. Gamsu going to be chased down, keep his verdict just to keep him airborne. And he's just going to have to drag himself to safety. Looper though interrupts and he's taking a lot of damage. Gamsu won't really be able to get too far away. I think in towards the fountain is enough. He gets to safety. But RNG have got the whole base to themselves and they're going to break it open.
And RNG looking a lot stronger here, matching the early game and then getting these team fights over and over. And they won't even want more. Gamsu's trying to stop this.
I mean, it's pretty reasonable to think they can finish. They've got the Baron as well. Spirit is going to be trying to stop them. Gamsu is also there, but that Nexus is going down. And RNG, they are going to give us the goods. They're bringing a game. Gonna be a game 3. And I don't know about you, gentlemen. Over the course of this tournament, game 3 around the corner, and there's a heck of a lot riding on it. Trying to pass over to the experts now and see just where things went wrong or went right.
Monte Cristo, I'm sure this is just one of those games you love to watch. Senseless,
where
brainless
I'm right
fighting.
about the predictions?
Well, yeah,
you are correct,
There's a lot
sir.
of those. There's a lot of those indeed. Look, I'm going to get straight into replays. Let's pull the first one up onto the screen. It is just a mid lane engage, just straight onto Fnatic, and this game was just defined by consistent, aggressive, non-stop team fights. Not the correct one that we wanted. We will get the correct one queued up in just a second.
So I'm like staring at this monitor that's like 20 feet away from me with lights on either side of it. So it's sort of hard for me to see these replays. So I'll do my best to break it down.
I'm lucky because I get to see the giant screen behind you. So
right.
when we cut to replays,
Damn you.
we could pull a Doa and just turn around. So
That's
anyways,
true.
this
I need
is
to do
the
that right
replay.
now. So the card's in front again. Give me a second.
So here is the replay, Monty. You can see that great barrel. that came out from MLXG and knocked everybody backwards. But Gamsu at least gets one back. I think this was a good example of the early game. Non-stop aggression, just fights all over the place.
Well, and I do like the points that that Crepo and Deficio brought up about the pressure that this composition could have brought to bear from Fnatic's side. But I also like that Royal really showed, I think, that they're mechanically better. And a lot of these fights came down to certain mechanical or decision-making errors in these team fights from Fnatic, and Royal, sure, they dove a little bit too deep in between those tier 2s at 18 minutes. Maybe you shouldn't do that one that early in the game, and they could have prioritized that mid lane tier 1 instead. But they still pretty much just comprehensively outplayed Fnatic, and that proved to be pretty devastating. And that's, if you can outplay people in those team fights with weaker champions in the early game, well, when you have an 8-1-5 Kog'Maw on your base, you might regret it.
Well, that's kind of what we were worried about, right? Is that as the game went on, RNG got stronger and stronger. We'll jump ahead to the next replay, I believe is around 17 minutes or so. It's a mid lane tower dive that was started by RNG.
Oh, this is the one I was talking about.
Yeah, exactly. I heard you mention it, so I thought we'd take a look at it. Started by RNG, but then it was turned around by Fnatic, and it was one of the bright spots in this game. And to be fair, you know, Fnatic kept it competitive for most of the game.
Well, I think what's weird about this is that Royal, they are trying to move out of both sides of the mid lane at the same time, and then they end up just walking right back through underneath the mid lane turret. And Gamsu certainly did a great job of keeping everybody under that tower alongside the crowd control from Lulu. But when you get that pick onto Reckless, perfectly fine dive, but you don't just mill around between the turrets and wait for everybody to come. You don't split up 2 people on one side, 2 people on the other, and then send 2, well, 1 on the other, then send 2 people back up through the mid lane turret. Not good if you want to not get picked off after after taking a bunch of those turret shots, after kind of falling low in that skirmish and still having a full HP Lulu and Nautilus to deal with.
You know, I think that said, that showed us just how good Gamsu can be on that Nautilus.
Yeah.
I mean, he really made a lot of great plays. And, you know, in my opinion, he kind of kept Fnatic in that game a little bit longer than maybe they would have been otherwise.
I think that's very fair. And actually, the last replay is just a little bit of a desperation play. And it was some of the mistakes that we saw, I feel, out of yesterday's Fnatic. First of all, they're looking greedy, they're looking hungry. But the thing that really stands out for me is after Fnatic lose a member and they've like peeled away, somebody makes the call to re-engage. I like the fact they're on the same page, but you're gonna see Cly flash and Glacial Fissure forward. If you have to flash Fissure to catch somebody at the max range Fissure, there's no ways the rest of your team can collapse.
Yeah, and these are some of the things we're talking about with Clyde. The flash ultimate, he should know that Kog'Maw has Hex Drinker, and he should also know that Kog'Maw still has Summoner Heal. So there is basically a 0% chance of that play actually working out. It's greedy, and it does bait the rest of his team into further kills when it had been kind of a wash. I do want to point out that this low damage composition from Fnatic, Royal was consistently, we didn't take a look at some of the other team fights, but the way they were able to identify Lucian as the primary threat and immediately isolate him and kill him in almost every fight was very important to how this game played out. And I agree with the analysts on the cast too. Taking that static Shiv is the wrong move when you need the range from the rapid fire cannon to really play around the Whimsy and the shields that Lulu has. If you're the main force, you have to make sure that you can deal that damage from range and stay safe, because he certainly was not safe in this game whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, Reckless was just targeted over and over again. That's kind of what you needed to do. He was really the only big damage on the side of Fnatic. And going back to Cly a little bit more, I mean, I'm the bloodthirsty support man. I love that kind of play. But at the end of the day, there are times where you need to not flash, not all. You need to save that stuff to keep your 80 carry alive. And then right when they're about to kill someone, that's when you step in and do the final blow and get the kill. So you got to play the long game sometimes.
Do not listen to Doa. This is
got to play the long game.
Well, thank you for that.
I'm on the analyst desk. I'm officially an expert now.
It's
You have
true.
to,
It is
you have to
true.
accept this.
You know what? That's fair. I cannot take that away from you. Monty currently 2 for 2 in predictions. We'll see if you can make it 3 for 3. That wraps it for game 2. We're going to head to Chabra on stage while the teams are getting ready for the third match.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. I am back, and with some news for you guys. Of course, just a quick reminder, join the conversation about this whole day. We're not even close to being done yet. Not done with the semifinals, and of course, the grand finals do await us. So hashtag IEM, tell us what you think. Tell us who you think is gonna win. Show us how you're watching the entire tournament today, whether it's at home, at school, wherever, maybe in a theater. We want to find out. And of course, on top of that, if you want more stats, if you've missed the game, you want to see what's going on, you want to see some interviews, check out the Score Esports. You can download the app on the App Store or Google Play. Put it on your phone, and now you'll never be disconnected from all the League of Legends esports happening right here in Katowice. And last but not least, of course, I always come with cool questions. The next question is, we've been seeing a lot of team fights going on in this Game 3. Which team, as a team, will have a better KDA? Will it be World Never Give Up? Will it be Fnatic? Let us know, and we'll find out right after the break. before the break, I told you how you could catch up on all this extra content. But if you want to make your own extra content, go ahead, take a look at the Plays TV Chrome extension. You'll be able to make your own highlights, check out other people's replays, all sorts of cool stuff. So go ahead and do that right now because we got some time before we go into the draft, before we go into Game 3. And also, I posed a question. Which team do you think will have the higher KDA in this Game 3? Will it be Fnatic? Will it be Royal Never Give Up? And the results are out. A lot of you guys think Fnatic are going to take this. Does that mean a lot of you think Fnatic's going to win? I don't know if the faith is quite there yet, but I'm sure you guys will really rally up for both teams as we go into game. But for now, as we get ready for the draft, back to the expert desk.
Thank you very much, Chobra. We are getting ready for Game 3. Some information to share with everybody. When it comes to the deciding game in a series, the team that won the previous games, let's start this again. The team that won in the best of 3 the fastest gets to pick the sides that they want. That's the correct information I'm trying to get out there.
You got it. Good deal.
Fnatic, yes, it was hard. Fnatic beat Royal Never Give Up in 23.5 minutes. They got the choice of side. They elected to go blue side. So put some pressure again on some of those target bans. Maybe look for that first pick Kalista, first pick Nautilus, something like that. Put more pressure on RNG, maybe banning Kalista and Jhin and other things like that. What do you make of blue side, Monty?
Well, I just think that you got to ban the Jhin again. That's it. I think that it should be pretty simple for Royal going forward, but we'll see how it plays out. I think they were really cocky in their draft in game number 1, and they identified some more of the clutch bans in the second game of the series. I think that really worked out for them. If they can keep Fevivin off these assassins, they're confident they can outplay him. We may see Fevivin play LeBlanc as a result in this final game. I think you have to put him on something that he can show off his mechanics on, because the Lulu, it just wasn't working considering how hard the rest of his team was being outplayed by Royal.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think the big focus here for Fnatic should be to take the pressure off of Reckless, right? Don't make him be the only guy that can do damage. Don't leave him in a position where nobody can protect him. You know, so that involves different picks, perhaps. That involves different choices as far as like decisions that Cly might make. You know, again, don't flash ahead and ult when you should be kind of sticking back there and maybe making sure Reckless lives to do more damage. I think if Fnatic can do that, they've got a good chance. I mean, they showed us they can win against this team. They can do it in Game 3.
I'm really interested to see whether or not RNG have figured out some of the buttons to push. Because in Game 2, they quite clearly outclassed Fnatic in games.
Yep.
So if they find those champion matchups that are a little more comfortable, they might be able to just outskill Fnatic.
Well, this is the thing, too. I said take away some of the weirder picks that they've been using. We don't see a lot of Zed in the current meta. We don't see hardly any Jhin, just very sparingly ever since his release. And now they're forcing Fnatic back on more standard picks. That's where Royal wants to be in this series, because they should have confidence that they can just out-team fight them, as we saw in the last game. I do have to say I like being able to see the pick and ban before I make a prediction. It's like my favorite part. Because having to predict when you don't know what the choices have been made, how that actually aligns to team strengths and matchups between the teams.
Are you just trying to justify the fact that you've made mistakes in the past? That's literally what you're doing.
I will never admit to making previous mistakes, Trevor.
Okay, for incorrectly predicting winners,
True, he won't.
It's a different angle, right? It's not a mistake. It's a, you know what I mean?
It's just an alternate timeline.
Yes,
you know?
that's right. I actually
right.
predicted the correct winner in an alternate universe.
That's right.
So
Okay.
it's all about parallel universes. You know, we're constantly splitting universes at every possible moment.
You've watched too much Fringe, my friend.
There's a
I have watched too
universe.
much.
You have.
There's a universe where Royal is a 2-time World's Championship.
Yeah.
That's something to think about too.
At the point that you start quoting Fringe and using, you know you've watched too many seasons, because it got bad. Guys, a quick update. There was a computer being swapped out on the Fnatic camp. I do see the players are in the lobby, so once they've configured their settings and got themselves comfortable, we'll be jumping into picks and bans. But yeah, on tournament lives now, what a daunting task. Not only do you have to win the third game in the series to qualify for finals, your reward for doing so is to face SK Telecom. Like,
That's right.
how do you mentally prepare for that?
There is no way to mentally prepare for it. I think, you know, I mean, if you're RNG, if you're Fnatic, you kind of just turn your brain off as far as who you're going to play in the final. I mean, this is the game they have to worry about right now. You know, SKT is out there for whoever wins this one, but this is the game that matters right now to each of these teams. So forget SKT, you know, forget they exist, concentrate on this game, and then if you get there, then try to pretend you're playing against somebody else.
Turn the name tags off.
Turned off nameplates.
That's right, turn off nameplate.
I do that every game for the record. It's like 3 extra pixels.
I actually would advise all pro players to do that because just in general, it's a lot easier to call out specific champions in the game and have it be instantly recognized in comms if you're calling targets, as opposed to player names, which I think is silly for any team to do. There's no reason to let anything get into your head, just like any other game at that point.
Yeah,
I like that. Great advice from the expert desk. It's becoming some great nuggets of information. Picks and bans underway. Lissandra, Gragas, Cogmore from Fnatic, Nidalee, and Jhin. Notably, Lee Sin and Nautilus are still up.
Yeah, but that Jhin ban, I mean, we're not surprised. And there's a Zed ban too, so RNG taking Monty's advice here and taking out some of those picks they may not have as much experience against right now. So what will the first pick be for Fnatic? They wanted blue side. They wanted this first pick. The Kalista is available. They could go for it. Nautilus available too. They've got a lot of choices, actually.
So in game 1, with Fnatic won, they were on the red side. And their first rotation was Alistar, Gragas. Gragas is not there. Alistar is there.
Yeah, the thing though is they may take the Lulu again, but I just think this is a mistake. If they're going to run the Lulu mid on Febvin again, some of Fnatic's most inspiring wins in this tournament have come off of really big carry performances by Febvin, and we know he can do it on more champions than just Zed. So having him on a more supportive carry, tough option, but they're going to mirror the draft that we had in game number 2 of this series. Question is Royal going to go for an early pick Kog'Maw again? Because if they don't, they have to be worried about Fnatic running Juggernaut.
Monty, do you think they're going to, the possibility of pulling a fast one is there? Lissandra's been banned by Fnatic, and that's something we've seen teams do when they want to run LeBlanc. And I mean, technically you could flex Lulu.
Yeah, you could do that. I think the most important pick here is not the Lee Sin, but the Gragas, because if you don't take the Kog'Maw now, you're running the risk that Fnatic is actually going to Juggernaut you. And Gragas is one of the most, he's one of the best champions for actually disrupting Juggernaut, because you can simply flash E forward, body slam forward into an ultimate.
Well, I don't think it's going to be Master Yi Teemo. This isn't Korean solo queue that I play in all the time. But you're right. I mean, now the question is, does Fnatic feel like they can handle a composition like Juggernaut?
Oh, the Kog'Maw's banned. This is
oh, never mind. Never mind.
Silly. But yes, the Kalista now still available. Kalista isn't the best with Lulu either. Lucian would be a better choice as long as it's built a little bit differently.
Yeah, well, we saw Fevin hover over that LeBlanc for the moment, the TFN option as well. Have to imagine that probably the Lucian's going to come in at some point. But Kalista's still available. That's kind of one of the shocking things to me right now, is that we're this far in the draft and nobody's taken Kalista yet.
The Jhin band, it is rather odd. Looks like they are considering running that Lucian again.
Thresh Kalista, I think it's could work very well. Yep, there we go.
Now you mentioned that they played a Lulu Kalista game earlier this season, Quick Shot.
Yes, sir. It went very, very well, but they only ever did it once. And a lot of the time it was banned away and taken away from them. So all eggs in the Reckless basket.
Oh, we didn't even talk about Corki still being available. That's going to get grabbed for RNG. See where that one ends up.
Well, hey, they have a chance to run a poke comp here, and I think this is the right pivot in the draft for Royal. You can take the Corki now. You already have some pretty decent disengage. You don't have the Gragas. Really, the Lee Sin here, I think, was just a denial pick from Spirit. They just don't want him playing that champion and able to make plays onto their backline. But they can still be caught out by the Gragas here, especially running 2 AD carries. Braum is off the table already. We saw the Thresh locked in, which means that they don't have a lot to stop Royal's poke composition. Of course, the Mystic Shots and the Rockets raining in.
Yeah, so the final 2 picks over to Fnatic right now. Stop playing with my heart like that, Cly. Just pick it. If you're gonna hover over it, pick it.
Up until very recently, Kasing would hover Zillion every single game, and that played with my heart. Now Zillion became meta, and it's even more like confusing now, because initially it was a troll, and I was like, that's fine, you can just ignore it. But now Zillion's actually being played across the world, and it drives me up the wall, because you never know, is it just Kasing being Kasing, or is it like actually going to be a thing?
See, it's easier for me, because I know nobody's ever going to play Blitzcrank again. So that takes a little bit of the edge off at least.
Yeah.
So it could be Trundle Elise. I could see that. But the Gragas is still available. What do you think about although it's hard to like really use Gragas in against such a mobile
Gragas
set of
was
damage
banned.
dealers.
Yeah.
And he was banned too. That also makes it really hard.
Really hard to
pick
use
him
it,
in.
yeah.
Near impossible.
I know,
I'm an
the
expert,
Elise.
guys.
I like the Elise. If Spirit can play the same tempo that he was playing Elise in, you can do similar things, albeit just not as effective.
I'm going to see that Nautilus come in again. Gamsu, he was good on the Nautilus in those team fights. He did have some pretty poor teleports that gave up some kills in the last game. However, in this one, it's again a situation where they put so much on Reckless. And this is ridiculous that to try and use a Lulu Kalista combination to take out this particular composition, because they really don't have engage besides a Thresh Hook and an Elise Cocoon. And they don't have the best wave clear in the side lanes early. So the 4-1 split can be very effective against what Fnatic's doing. They should have, Royal should have enough disengage to use the Corki and the Ezreal simply to take down turrets.
Yeah. How do you handle the split push from this field
I
right now?
really don't like this draft from Fnatic. They've got a strong lane, especially with the Kalista and Thresh. But if we see a similar lane swap to what we saw last time, they'll be able to hide the Ezreal for long enough to hit that power spike and take over this game. I really feel that this is suboptimal, and it just didn't work. They were too good at picking off Reckless in the last game, and they have champions again that they can outplay you on. Alistar and Lee Sin can remove Reckless from this team composition, and if he goes out, the rest of the team is just dead. There's no more damage there to follow up.
Does that sound like a prediction?
It sounds like a pretty good prediction to me. I mean, I think it's the same problem that Fnatic had in game number 1. I can't argue with this. It's true. They're going to be in a situation again where, you know, if Reckless falls, they're going to not really have any more damage to use.
So Monty, just to confirm, you are predicting RNG to win this game and advance to the finals. That means it's confirmed. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back with the deciding game of Fnatic versus Royal Never Give Up. I like that.
Match is going to be an absolute cracker for Fnatic, gentlemen. Reckless and Clio, we do have the Kalista Thresh bot lane. Deficio, surely a good sign for them. You mentioned off stream they need standard lanes.
Yeah, Fnatic is drafting a composition again where they have 3 pushing lanes and a jungler who is stronger pre-level 6. If it is a lane swap, RNG gets to avoid these lane matchups. They also get to just have their jungler farm up to 6, and then they can start picking fights on even terms. If it is standard lanes, Fnatic should be able to push in every single lane, because mid, Lulu will just push, use a mana, recall, and then TP back to lane. Corki doesn't have the same luxury.
Yeah, I definitely echo that sentiment from Martin there. The entire early game kind of hinges upon that lane swap, because last game we saw how once the team comp, the late game started rolling up, or Fnatic made some mistakes, obviously RNG would win, and the same thing's going to happen this game. But Fnatic, they can just butcher this game completely by just finding the standard lanes, and they should be able to push in and win almost every lane in the early game.
There's a little bit of fighting here. So RNG has swapped top 2 games in a row now. Last game, Fnatic didn't mirror it, even though it was actually the same kind of situation, and I think there was a high chance they would find them up there. But then again, they maybe said, hey, we can beat them in a lane swap. In this game, you have that problem where it's basically 50-50 because there is no invading. Now Fnatic are swapping top.
Getting
because
mind-gamed.
Exactly, they're trying to find this 2v2 lane, and they think they've gone top lane. Now going to realize very soon it is not the case, unless Fnatic is actually walking back. So they're also mind gaming it and being like, oh, if there's a ward he's spotting us, maybe we can move around it. They will get 2v2.
They're down at camp though.
They
This
just
is
don't
the
want to
problem.
get a camp. That's going to be an issue.
And that completely screws over the lane momentum, because the main reason that Kalista Thresh beats Alistar Ezreal is because
Oh, do they have time for it?
they're late.
It's
I
gonna
think
be a delay.
It's still worth doing it though at this point though. At
They-
least the small one maybe.
Yeah, they just took the small one for everyone who, because the camera panned away. They took the small one, walked into lane. Grump is being taken, obviously, by RNG, and we get these standard lanes. Nautilus into Fiora as well. Is a situation where Nautilus will early push the Fiora. His great early base damage, and he's doing fine for the first 20 minutes at least. It's once we get to late game, Fiora will really start taking over in this 1v1.
So the 2v2 for Fnatic, they've managed to secure it there. Managing to spot out, of course, RNG's duo down the bottom side.
Yeah, and if you look on the bottom lane, you can always see what would happen normally in this lane is that there's a tremendous amount of zone on Woosh and Mata here coming up from this double range lane with CC. So Fnatic, despite losing the camp, they still hit their power spike on level 2 first. And Mata can't even do the whole trick where you walk up and you take one auto to force the lane to push, because it's just so dangerous.
Yeah, of course, the threat of the hook coming in. It's not something RNG want to deal with here. Xiaohu for Vivian in mid going to be very interesting. Again, not on an assassin. We've seen for Vivian, like Monty, I think, said, pull out some great performances when he's been able to make plays. Now he's pushing again. Gamsu, just copying a little bit of love there from Looper in the top.
Yeah, but Spirit right here, being at the right side though, he's shouting for Gamsu, making sure that at least he doesn't get ganked early and he gets going in this Fiora Nautilus matchup, a matchup we've seen so many times so far in this tournament. It's really dependent on jungle interaction.
And again, when you have a top laner who wins the lane or does well in lane by pushing it early, he needs that jungle backup so he doesn't get camped. Getting the Rift Scuttler also Thresh into Lee Sin. It's fairly easy for Thresh to avoid ganks from Lee Sin early on, and also much easier for dual lane with double wards to spot these ganks coming. So smart play early from Spirit, small things, but it does allow Gamsu to push out the lane and try and be a little bit of a bully against Looper. It will be very even in CS.
It's a very good trade here on the bot lane. The hook into the poke from the passive with Kalista, then respecting the counter engage, obviously, with a preemptive flay, putting Mata back, and then the reset on the Rend from Reckless. So that's a really strong trade here on the bot lane. That's what we're looking for. Kalista Thresh. Calm collected trades where you leave no opportunity of outplay on the side of Alistar Ezreal.
And because Alistar Ezreal has to surrender the early push and stay back at tower, it actually opens up for Clyde to roam, and he's already done it. He moved in and put this ward you see at the Grump, and Blue Buff spotted MLXG on it, and now Spirit is looking for him as well.
Yeah, MLXG inside the bushes where he did finish the blue off. So.
Oh, Spirit wanted to be just like a few seconds earlier to maybe stop that Blue Buff, but still they see the enemy jungler, gets up a bit aggressive, and now you know there's nothing on the top side because both junglers has been spotted, and Spirit controlling the river with another Rift Scuttler.
Pick that one up. It was, well, actually had a little bit of early warning as well about Spirit. There was a ward placed over the wall for him. So, I mean, Fnatic, positive signs for that team at the start here, being able to shove some lanes across. You can see Gamsu coming out second best every now and then to Looper, who's trying to maybe exercise an early bit of aggression towards the Nautilus here.
Gamsu is basically using the minions to help him out. He saw that Looper dashed into 3 minions and a cannon, so therefore he's instantly saying, oh, I can actually hook you back in here and we can at least trade even in HP.
And that's obviously what explains the whole, why you need to be pushing your lane as Nautilus, because you will always have minion advantage. So when the enemy, who is stronger trading 1v1, does go for the trade, you just slow him down, use the CC, and then get the aid from the minions to really win that trade overall. And that's why it's important that Spirit then in the early game at least backs up Gamsu. This way is the safety to push up without getting ganked, because pushing always means overextending, but pushing also means hitting the tower. That's what Fnatic wants to do here. Use these push advantages, chip away at the towers, play some deep vision, and eventually catch somebody out.
MLXG with this pink ward though might be able to set up a gank. Gamsu is now overextending with no backup.
Definitely going to be no help for him. For Vivian doesn't have teleport. Gamsu, though, good dredge line to get away there. He read that well. MLXG not able to close.
It's a very good ward though, the pink ward in Tri-Push. I really like it for top lane because it sets up these very easy ganks, and it's very hard for enemy top laners to go clear out the pink ward because he has to like risk face-taking an enemy jungler. Spirit though, he's gonna mirror just on the bottom side, and it forces Bush away.
Because look where Mata was. Mata walked to his own red buff to place a ward, then backed off, and now he ran back bot, completely leaving Wush alone. So this opens up the bot. AD carry to be zoned by Spirit here. Half the tower just disappears, and I think that's
Free damage, boys.
That's something we have to point out. That's a mistake from Mala. You can't afford to already play in a losing lane to again go for like a single ward in your own jungle.
And this is again also why these standard lanes are so important for Fnatic, because you can keep pushing up the lane, 2v2 bot lane, Clyde can keep walking into enemy jungle, place a ward, and when you've seen the entire bot side jungle, if you don't see the enemy jungler there, you know he's top side. Oh, just to get a bit of extra damage coming in, and then you can constantly just kind of figure out where Lee Sin is, because if he's not showing bot lane on Grump or blue buff, well, then he's on top side of the map. Gamsa has to play safe then, and then suddenly Fnatic can play more aggressive and keep getting hits on his tower. Eventually, they will kill the bot lane tower, then they will swap Reckless and Clyde to the top lane and just do exactly the same and start snowballing these early towers, and that's how they gain their goal advantage. And then suddenly this comp will not lack damage.
Yep.
Once we go full late game, it becomes harder and harder though.
Yeah, very big mid-game spike here for Fnatic. Obviously, once these lanes get longer too, we can send February in the side lane and roam, because this time he does bring the teleport to the table, and he is going for Frost Queens again. So when RNG overextend, this will be maybe try and equalize these lanes. Fnatic will have to look for picks, and they'll need a lot of picks, because obviously once we go even into the late game, RNG have shown more proficiency in team fights, and obviously solid late game damage.
Really big difference though in the pick and ban phase, and very important changes. Also why Fnatic picked the blue side and could first pick this Lulu was banning away Gragas, especially because it gave RNG that option to have a engage together with Mata, where you can just flash onto the AD carry, knock him back with either headbutt from Alistar or the ulti from Gragas, and then suddenly the AD carry gets killed. So I really like that ban, knowing that, okay, we're gonna most likely first pick Lulu, and they would then have taken Gragas in every single situation, remove that part, and also remove an insane AD carry who's sitting in the backline killing your tank.
Lee Sin can do similar things, but it's kind of hard mode. You have to find the flank with the kick.
So much harder than
We saw what happened to Spirit trying to do just that as well in the last game. Often getting caught out and beat down 3 versus 1.
And also Thresh can counter a lot of it with his play coming in, so definitely more options for Fnatic to protect Reckless, but we are still in the same situation where going full late game, Fiora will be a super split pusher who will just take over one lane, Ezreal scaling up so well. It becomes harder and harder for Fnatic, but I definitely think it's closer in the late game compared to last game where we had that massive front line against the Lucian comp. It's just impossible for Lucian to do anything.
Perhaps possibilities here for Reckless, of course. He did get belted around a lot in that last game and wasn't given an opportunity to stand still, let alone actually auto attack.
Yeah, he was kind of a ragdoll in that last game. Got knocked around, up, down, left, right. Barely could get an auto attack off.
RKO'd every time he walked into lane to try and fight. I mean, still there's possibility for that to happen, as we sort of already have said, with the Alistar still present for Mata. And of course, the Lee Sin of MLXG. But still, this lane on the bottom side, they haven't taken that tower, Fnatic, yet.
Now is the time, though, to start committing more and more to the bot side, because they've completely surrendered top lane. You can see there's double pink wards from RNG, and Gamsu setting very far back in the lane. He's basically just trying to farm whatever he can and defend his tower. Instead of your Fnatic, you have TP mid lane, you have Elise to invade into enemy jungle. You need to start making plays around this bot side and force them off tower and take it down so you can start getting more outer turrets. RNG is reading it though, because that Lee Sin there, and also Xiao Hu was hovering around the bottom side.
Yeah, speaking about these pink wards, we see the hover there, we see RNG defending their pink wards in the brush. They have 2 in the top lane, but look at the one they have in the lane in bottom too there. Hang on, we'll trade here.
We're going to go a little bit low with Xiao Hu. Valkyrie's back because he does have a feeling that Spirit's coming.
Yeah, that ward in the bottom lane, since nobody's dying, we can actually talk a little about. That's to block a TP ward. If Spirit does get an invade in and get a ward over the wall, or maybe Clyde, that's generally where you put TP wards. So RNG very wary of the dive, because that's obviously what Gamsu wants to do. He can't win 1v1 against Looper.
At least he can't kill him. They can just kind of stand there and hit each other in the head. This is step 1 though for Fnatic, push bot lane. Step 2 is then get into the jungle and place these wards we talked about earlier. There is Sidestone for Clyde. Didn't get a whole lot of wards in though. I think actually Spirit also has no wards, so both support and jungler have 0 wards ready to place, and that's why they actually didn't gain anything for moving in here other than 1 camp. Did spot the Lee Sin. They know he's on top side now because Spirit is obviously looking at the bottom lane. And now you can push it in one more time. We talked about this. Apply pressure on the bottom lane. You need that tower down. So you can start snowballing the game.
RNG a vision of that, though. You can see Spirit sat right next to a ward there, even with the wolf just chasing him in there. So you can see that well and truly back off of this one, and they might even try and just harass Spirit a little bit here, but they've got to give this tower up. So Spirit doesn't have to enter the lane to apply enough threat for Fnatic to get the first tower of the game.
Yeah, don't want to stay on the tower when you're against double TP and Elise as well. Nothing you can do then, so that's the first tower for Fnatic. Push it out, you can either then go for Dragon, if you're pushed out the lane and Ezreal is forced to sit and farm it, or you just reset everything and you just start going towards the top side and do exactly the same. And you want Nautilus then to catch that bot wave and defend the tower. But Dragon we take first, and then we recall after.
You just see a Fnatic get caught moving into the enemy red jungle. Or maybe get caught on this dragon fight
moving,
here.
yeah.
TP from Looper.
Could get a little bit nasty here. Clyde going to thread the needle there. So Xiaohu is able to push forward on towards this one. Reckless sat right towards the back of this fight, and Spirit gets in there. He's going to land a cocoon on towards Xiaohu, but you can see Clyde going to go very, very low. Looper waking up. He gets the first blood. Gamsu now has to get away from this one. At least Vivian and Spirit are there to flank him as he backs off. Fnatic might be in trouble. Spirit still doesn't have much mana. He's had to flash. True Shot Barrage comes through, does clip a bit of health off. He will still get away.
The cojones on RNG though to go for that fight against this composition. Seemingly random teleport. When a Kalista has this many spears in a dragon already, actually going for that contest is... It almost feels random, but they somehow managed to make it work again.
Well, again, with tanking Dragon at 12 minutes in, you will always take some damage, and you're trying to finish off Dragon while the fight starts will always put Fnatic in a disadvantage. And again, this is why a lot of teams will just push out bot lane, recall in and go top and not set up this fight, because it gives RNG a chance now. Look here how Spirit is tanking Dragon. Reckless is fully focused on trying to finish the Dragon at this point. You're now stuck in the pit.
It's a misplay though for Fnatic overall. The hook going wide, Clyde not walking up to do the initial play and then getting pulled out, and he basically gets AoE down. The Dragon not being executed by Fnatic there, so I don't think they were just ever ready. They just assumed that RNG would never contest this. They felt in a position of control, and it was used against them, just like it was many times in the last game.
Chris, the thing is, it's completely reasonable to expect Fnatic to go for that Dragon after they take that bottom outer turret of RNG. They had established vision on the blue side of RNG's jungle, and RNG's still more than happy to walk forward.
RNG is sleeping now, though. They're just leaving this mid lane completely open because they sent 3 guys on top side, expecting the push to happen.
You know it's not prepared when people halfway through their movement patterns change it and trying to path back. You saw Ezreal and Alistar turn around. Oh, never mind. So that's how you can spot whether people are actually doing yielding a turret on purpose or whether they kind of get caught with their pants down, is when looking at the minimap when they do this little stutter. Ah, damn, we should have been there. Yeah, too late.
Well, it's also going to be a Rift Herald here from Fnatic. Again, replicating their behavior in the last game. They are getting these objectives. They threaded them in between the lane swap last time. This time, they're just straight up rotating between them. That will go to Reckless, as always is the case for Fnatic.
And such a big difference by just having these standard lanes, because now RNG are pushed so far back on the map and now behind already, so you can take this Rift Herald without risking a potential 5-on-5. I say that though, but RNG
they somehow managed
would be the kind of team to fight it.
I don't think there's actually many teams in Europe that would make that play where, you know, when Fnatic's on that Dragon already with like...
Oh, no. That's why they just jumped in and took it.
Yeah, that's part of RNG's strength, that they just surprised you with their decisive decision-making when it comes to team fighting. They force it when seemingly the correct play for many other teams is just to wait, you know, cross-map, trade.
Well, RNG showing that maybe it was the correct play, at least for them in that case.
If it works out, it's always...
Exactly right. You can't be proven wrong there.
I think RNG here in this situation, though, trying to opt into a 2v2 on top lane now, and you're again defending, is actually the wrong play to make. Because instead of trying to match what Fnatic is doing by pushing in bot lane with your AD carry and support and then just taking tier 1 tower for tier 1 tower, you're now just going to get slowly pushed down again. And whenever you're defending in this meta, you're technically losing because you never get any deep vision in at all in the enemy jungle. Like, look at Fnatic's jungle here. There's absolutely nothing. The river is completely warded off with pings. And Fnatic can constantly just move in and place wards because RNG opted in to take the 2v2 top, even though they know they're losing it. So I think for RNG, it would have been better to stay bot lane with Alistar Ezreal and just take tier 1 for tier 1 and get something, and then you can get deep vision on the bottom side at least.
The only risk is that they want the safety from the tower. Alistar maybe doesn't want to face check into the full dark area. Because by the time you kind of secure the area with your wards, you need to base to refill your sidestone.
But they would see like Reckless and Cly on top side of the map, so technically there shouldn't be much threat on the bottom side. Instead though, they are just trying to slow the game down. That's basically all RNG is doing. They want to slow the game down, and that's why they take it.
But like you said earlier on, we are going to see the dual lane for Fnatic, rotate to top. Reckless, again, he has the Rift Herald buff, and that's exactly why he keeps being fed that. The amount of push he can create, of course, in a very short space of time is going to be putting RNG under the pump. You can see they've actually swapped whoosh back towards the top side as well for now, and Marta's on his way.
It's greedy by RNG. If they end up losing this tower for nothing, then they fall even further behind without getting anything in return, because Fiora is not going to kill the bot lane tower, but
if they hold, though, it is the better situation.
Exactly.
So the extremes are really, really far apart. You know, if you hold the tower, it is fantastic, but if you lose it, it comes at a greater cost.
Fnatic, though, might be saying, hey, we actually want to pick up dragons, so we get those 5 dragons potentially rolling, so we want to abandon top lane now and take it. RNG has so far been successful, slowing down the game, but then again, Fnatic is not hard committing to top side, because Spirit is on bottom side here for honestly absolutely no reason other than setting up for this potential first dragon for Fnatic, but it's slowing down the tower pushing, which is the main objective. 5 dragons should never be the main objective for your team.
Spirit, might be looking for the no worries play. Yes, the Cocoon and Matata, but no follow-up. You see Faviven backed away very, very quickly.
Spirit kind of wanted to go for Looper there, see if he can find himself behind him, but that's never really going to work if you play against a top laner that has a bit of an idea of what he's doing. Perhaps he felt like he couldn't force in the top lane. Fnatic have been moving back and forth a couple of times. MLXG shattering those lanes, and right now, because Fnatic was so hesitant and honestly too afraid, RNG, they get the group in the mid lane and they're setting up for second dragon. They want Fnatic to come here, they want to fight.
Fnatic again should just stay top like for the last 2 or 3 minutes and have Spirit on top side of the map, and they've already chunked down this tower. Ignore this dragon, don't play around bot side with Gamso, he's just sitting and farming 1v1. They will still get some damage on it now because RNG decided to move away, and now we are in that situation where RNG is not really getting anything but time.
And this may be like the opposite of what happened on the dragon. When RNG passed towards that second dragon, maybe they expected everybody else on the map to say, oh, dragon's up, guys, let's go fight there. Instead of Fnatic just get free push in the top lane, RNG path back towards it to watch Fnatic take it and then end up doing nothing.
And this is why normally you would mirror the play and you would have taken this bot lane tower. Instead, Gamso says, thank you very much, I'll take some more farm. And we're now 3 towers to 0.
Is this purely a stall strategy from RNG to get past those mid-game power spikes from Fnatic? Is that why they're allowing them just to walk in and snatch up their weeps?
I mean, they respect Fnatic where they're strong, but it's just, I think it's more poor decision-making. Objective trading should be their goal. If they really want to stall, I mean, what would you rather have, you know? Give Fnatic 1,000 gold and get 1,000 yourself, or give Fnatic 1,000 gold and watch them take it.
And Looper, I think, he was freezing in the bottom lane as well. He's not trying to push on towards that tower.
Story of this game for RNG.
Oh dear.
Fnatic in prime position now obviously becomes a little bit more difficult when you now have to take the tier 2 towers. A lot higher chance for RNG to try and maybe collapse on you and flank you with the Lee Sin, Alistar. And that's where you start playing side lanes. More than anything else, and you push every single lane at once. And when RNG sends someone to defend without teleport, you make a cross-map play. And that's basically what Fnatic is looking for. Take Rift Herald, push up mid, push up top, push up bot lane. You have double TP. And you have actually a lot of tools to dive towers. If someone is standing alone at a tower, Elise, Kalista, Thresh, I mean, these 3 players are very good at diving towers very safely.
Yep. They have double reset on the turret shots as well. Elise can repel up, and Clyde can get face call backwards, obviously changing the target of these turret shots, which means you can dive for like, what, 5, 6, 7, 8 seconds without really risking death. We see a flank here from MLXG. He's going around. Feblin has teleport.
He has to push the bot lane a lot harder, though. He's kind of hovering around because he has very little vision, he feels. He doesn't want to overextend and end up dying. It does buy time for RNG, though, to set up a potential team fight because that bot lane wasn't pushed.
Who not missing with Chow, who instead might want to come forward. Now the teleport being drawn out of Fnatic. And RNG seem happy enough with just baiting that in.
A missed opportunity here. Face check coming in. Both Cocoon and Hook go wide. And that kind of kills the momentum here because that wave that Fevin was building up, he could still be there split pushing, but he was so afraid that his team would need his ultimate in time.
And now a TP is gone, so that makes the 1-3-1 so much harder to execute. It's good for RNG, it slows down Fnatic.
Yeah, what seems like a very, very small play where nobody dies and not much happens, this is actually a very crucial phase of the game, and RNG take a considerable step towards the late game here by forcing that teleport.
Because now suddenly you don't have to worry too much about side lane, and you can constantly threaten this flank, and that makes it harder for Fnatic to push up on towers. It makes it harder for Fnatic to maybe dive and get that one kill that breaks the defense from RNG. So super, super important, and there was Febiven not having enough information to push out that bot lane that allowed RNG to then say, oh,
Yeah.
look how far back he is. Move mid now, and we can force a potential fight or at least a teleport.
Yeah, or not having the faith, or maybe somebody panic call, TP, they're fighting. Because Malta was threatening the flash headbutt pulverize combo there. On the dragon being set up. RNG looking to contest, though. RNG wants to bite on that one. Spirit gets the lantern.
There is a fairly clean take for Fnatic. That's their first dragon of the game. We may not be seeing them looking for that 5-dragon push, but again, they have been pretty sharp on those objectives.
Opens up the mid lane slightly.
Look at V teleporting. We're past 20 minutes. Home guards is available, so that's why he's waiting in base.
This is again RNG's chance to get just a little bit. They want to see if they can get at least a buff away, a camp maybe, see if Fnatic is too slow on recalls and they can get a tower, but Fnatic is already back here.
Spirit already being sped up, coming forward, does get the cocoon on towards Marta, but he's going to follow it up anyway with a bit of damage. Marta at least can use Unbreakable Will, but he's super low already. Here comes the fight, the box is up, Marta's been caught. Looper there, teleporting in. Why on earth? He might be caught as well by Gamsu. He's snared up, but look at the damage coming in. Whoosh, Xiaohu, look at the damage onto Cly. Forbidden out towards the backside, they're so low. And Looper, he's cleaning up. Spirit forced to flash over the wall. Whoosh, he gets on towards Cly, and Reckless and Forbidden back to back, getting it done. Looper, careful, he's going to come in from the side. He blows Reckless up, and now Gamsu has to try and team up on towards this Fiora. The Spirit's there. Cocoon and Matata, no worries, mates.
Yeah, RNG's dependency on teamfight being used against them, even though the fight starts off by Malta being picked off, they still opt in fully 4-5, even using the teleport, not leaving Looper in the bot lane. And honestly, Fnatic obviously at this point is much stronger. Even misplaying some of the fight, they still win out.
But RNG here making some split calls very clearly. Mata didn't want to ulti instantly, so like, fight starts. This is RNG after this dragon being taken. They think, okay, let's try and get at least something. Notice Mata here, how late he's gonna ulti. Because the call right now is saying, let's disengage. If he ultis instantly, they could actually TP in and try and take the fight, but now he's just completely useless.
Yeah, let's ulti down, kick down. Looper enters the fight when Ezreal, ulti, Alistar, and Lee Sin are all down. And then obviously, Fnatic, they kind of split up here. This is really cool from Whoosh and Xiaohu, but they miscalculate the damage of Feven. Feven does a fantastic job stalling here and ends up going back into that fight later on. If that Q hit him, maybe the fight could have turned around. But this is honestly very greedy from RNG. Yes, we know you can team fight. You're very strong at it, but it's too early to really opt into that play.
I think legit it is the split call. Them going, let's disengage. So Mata, in that case, is not just instant ulting and committing with the Q to basically start the fight and have TP coming in. It ends up being Mata saving ulti, pops it very late, and then TP comes in when it's kind of too late to turn it around. And also, people remember, RNG last game could zone out Reckless every time because they had Poppy, Gragas, and Alistar. So different in this game with Fiora and Lee Sin as the 2 picks instead of Poppy, Gragas. It's a lot easier for Reckless to dance around with lifesteal, with the shield, catching MLXG as well.
Important pick off now. MLXG wants to back away, but it's a flay back on him. He's going to go down. The Ren stacks find their market. Reckless again. Cly going towards Xiaohu, but no follow-up there. Gamsu now. It's Hook City. Population Xiaohu as he gets over the wall. At least he's knocked up. But now Forbidden coming forward. Marta falls. Whoosh might not be far behind as well. Giant growth was used there. Great use of that one. And another 3-0 Fnatic now starting to take big strides out in front.
Another good start here for Fnatic, catching out RNG, saying we are strong right now. Double item Kalista. We've taken all these outer turrets. Remember, RNG is still sitting on 0 turrets because they kept trying to just delay instead of matching what Fnatic were doing. Corki has to do some serious damage here to do anything, and that's not going to happen. And again, Kalista can play aggressive because the front line isn't there, and then suddenly these protect a non-hyper carry becomes so much more effective.
And this is what we were talking about earlier, and the analysts mentioned it too, is just Fnatic, they're at the prime power spike right now. 20 minutes, 24 minutes into the game, if you can find a fight, this is where your base damages on all your carries are still relevant. Nautilus still deals enough damage relative to his opponents. Lulu has very good base damages and utility. Every single member on Fnatic can produce instances of crowd control, like knock up on Lulu, Fade Skull from Kalista, Thresh is a CC bot, Nautilus and Elise combined too. They can lock any target down, as opposed to RNG. Their strength is later in the game, like raw damage.
And boys, we are back in the 1-3-1. Double TP, push up the mid. You got Baron buffs, minions in every single lane. Fiora down here sitting and holding a lane. That's okay for Fnatic. They can just play 2 lanes instead and take topside jungle. And you just want to get in towards these towers here, start poking away with your minions. And if RNG ever takes a fight, then Fnatic can see it with their wards, have double TP if needed, and as long as they don't randomly split up completely, Fnatic will take down these outer turrets.
Baron definitely going to be paying dividends here for Fnatic, and they set it up beautifully from one pick to another to another. And now grouping up again towards that mid.
But what a shift in approach for Fnatic overall. No more late game oriented scaling compositions that require
I love this.
a lot of finesse and execution. Also require a completely different jungle style than what Spirit is just strong at. They're really enabling Spirit, who then in turn enables Gamsu, and that actually gives the freedom for the bot lane to play a little more aggressive. So I really like this style that Fnatic has chosen to use and kind of figure out at this event, because they're approaching their 10th, this is their 10th game, this tournament, I believe.
Yeah, 10 in 2 days.
10 in 2 days. I mean, in the European LCS so far, they've played like, what, 14 games?
Yeah.
So
Getting close, and it's good for Fnatic. More experience. We have to question that pick and ban phase they showed earlier in the EU LCS, but this is what Fnatic were hoping for in the last game as well, if they'd gotten standard lanes.
yeah, they now have more experience with Cly on support than they do with Noxiac. So we finally see a bit of a growth spurt, you know?
Here's a Baron power play for you, gents. About a 10k gold lead, and that more, in fact, for Fnatic. Huge for this part of the game, and 3 turrets just in a blink of an eye disappearing for RNG.
And now being a shot caller is very, very easy. All right, guys, we're about 11,000 gold ahead, 12,000 even. Let's get that second dragon so we get the burn on towers. Let's push up our 3 lanes with double TP. If we don't manage to find an opening because RNG doesn't make a mistake, let's just take another Baron.
I mean,
once we have
call.
that Baron, we finish the game.
Any call is the right one. It's like when you get the first prize in like a shooting gallery and you can pick any of the nice toys on the top rack, because you want the tower? Sure, we'll take the tower. You want a dragon? We can do that. We can also wait for Baron, you know? Pick at the litter. All you gotta do is just avoid dying.
Just don't completely randomly start tower diving on RNG. You don't have to. You got the burn now. Get that Baron buff next if you want to play it super safe. And then the wave clear, it's a Corki. It's not going to do anything. You're going to get these towers down, and then you open up the map completely.
I mean, there's no way that RNG are going to take this lane down. We know that they want to fight their way back into a game, but they've got a bit of a poke composition here as well. How can they maybe sort of enable themselves to get back in or create positive fighting circumstances?
Fnatic needs to mess up.
Yeah, or RNG need to get the outplay with a flank, and that in itself would be Fnatic messing up, allowing that.
Yep.
But as long as Fnatic have their eyes on Lee Sin and Alistar, it's nigh impossible for RNG to outplay, because Fnatic's flashes are all coming available right now, and whenever Lee Sin goes in for the kick flash, you just respect flash that. And we'll kick you out at the fight. At worst, you re-engage, you win.
There is no jungle for RNG anymore. It's 100% Fnatic's everything other than the base of RNG. So you just have the pink wards in there to spot a potential flanking TP coming. And as long as you have that covered, you can just push in all these lanes so safe. TP does take a bit of time. We might see RNG just try like a flash Q from, or Q flash from Mata on the 3 guys in mid lane and be like, okay, Lulu isn't here, Nautilus isn't here, they need to TP in. Instant just engage, try and pop a target. Problem is you have 2 AD carries who is going to struggle getting to that backline instantly. But I think that's probably the only play for RNG at this point, is like try and flash engage on the 3 guys in mid and wait for these TPs to charge, because they take a few more seconds.
There's another push towards that mid inhibitor turret here. Decent damage done by Fnatic. The Baron buff has now expired, so they're going to have to do it the old-fashioned way.
Yeah, they're going to wait for the next Baron, though, because if you see how much damage they've been able to produce on his turrets, top lane is on 95, mid lane like 85%, bottom lane 100% HP right now. Thank you, observers, for confirming that. It basically means that Fnatic with Baron buff didn't even manage to hit the towers. So without Baron buff, they're not going to be able to do that. So their next goal will be just to repeat the strategy, get the waves in the base, layer the vision, and then bait RNG to step out and then kill them.
They got 3 inner turrets, of course, with that Baron buff. I guess they expired before they got...
Get the Nexus, man.
I mean, the outer turrets are expected to fall at this point, but it's just breaking the base is the hardest part.
Yeah, so now we take our pink wards, we put them on Baron, and Daylor right now
He's happy.
will be a little bit angry for a second, because he looks at his mid laner keeping his Doran's ring instead of getting another pink ward, and he probably writes down his notebook. No pink wards, no food will be the new saying.
It has to rhyme, by the way.
Does it?
Yeah.
Damn.
It's okay, the fishy, I liked it, man.
Well, I'll make my own Daylor memes.
Can't just do that, man.
Show just backing up there as well. Actually used the package to get away as a contest on towards the red. Looks like MLXG has managed to secure that one for himself. 1 minute and 15 seconds. That's the most important number for you guys right now. Well, actually also 12k, but 1 minute and 10 seconds till that Baron is up. Fnatic, obviously, for them, it's a pretty standard trajectory. The flowchart only has 2 bubbles. 1, get Baron. 2, win game. And they're trying to facilitate for a safe take. You can see they're establishing this vision. pushing these waves in as well, and they're maintaining control of what used to be RNG's jungle.
Yep, hasn't been in the jungle for about, what, almost 10 minutes, I would say. Fnatic been able to farm everything. Now Baron is gonna spawn, 40 seconds, that's all we're waiting for. We got pinks around, we can spot RNG coming in. There is no wards for them to TP to. They have to just run straight towards Fnatic and this Baron.
Looper now as well, trying to exercise as much pressure as he can from his spot, but his lane opponent has a lot more money than he does, and the split push does become hard, and Gamsu seems to be matching every step of the way. Whoosh and MLXG, I mean, pretty obvious for RNG what the next step is. It should be for anyone, actually.
I actually just went and checked. No pink, no drink is the best one that came out.
Oh, no, that's good.
That's good.
Oh, MLXG doesn't really care here. Baron is alive. You have a Kalista, so there's no 50-50 smites in this game. And we're just watching a team play out this almost perfectly so far. I would actually say perfectly.
Does it make you happy, Warren?
I think it's beautiful to watch. Some good macro League of Legends. Now we just gotta see them not fail this Baron here, and that's about it.
Gamsu caught in the middle. The teleport was followed by Looper. That's a hook onto Xiao. He's had to back away. Gamsu soaked up so much damage, and there's the box. RNG caught inside of that one, but Whoosh takes down Gamsu first. Spirit, though, is still in the middle. A lot of CC coming away from Fnatic here, but Forviven gets jumped on, knocked up. Marta with the late flank may just work out. No, Whoosh just turns it around. Whoosh is gone in a whoosh of air, and now Looper trying to chase down Spirit. Should have him if he's going to have any say in this matter, but RNG have already lost 3. Fnatic lost 1.
RNG actually had a chance to win that fight here because Fnatic want to start the Baron and then have RNG walk all the way into towards the Baron, and then you TP in with Gamsu. Him going in so early allowed RNG to get a proper team fight here. And then Whoosh and then gets so greedy for Reckless. He just jumps forward.
Man. When you see the triple, you go for it, but holy cow, RNG, their ability to keep these fights close as they close, they lose their inhibitor right here. They were down 12,000, over 12,000 gold, and they still managed to end that fight with basically everybody of Fnatic on 20% HP.
That late flank from Marta in there could have turned things around. It's playing pretty quickly here. Teleport used actually to get, I believe it was Forviven up towards that inhibitor, just to make sure that they could take it. Maybe for a second, Fnatic thinking about trying to push through and finish it off, but it's only 30 odd minutes in. They'll be happy enough with the Baron here. True Shot Barrage is not really going to yield much.
He might need to, if he can kick Reckless out, he can actually go for the smite contest.
Too late, MLXG goes in. Another Baron for Fnatic, and MLXG, of course, has to give his life up to the gods of the Rift. Fnatic, that's an important Baron. That's what they needed, the flow chart. Now we're on to bubble number 2.
You got to go for it, though. It's not a 50-50, but the thing you're hoping for is that Reckless is rending, and then the smite comes in from Spirit after. But normally you would always smite first and then rend on like, what, 1,500 HP, and then you secure it.
What these teams actually end up doing is they decide on a number, say 1,700, and once the Baron drops to 1,700, they both use their ability at the same time. And basically, if you know the number and your opponent doesn't, obviously you're better prepared. You just try and combine your damage instead of waiting for one or the other.
Lister offering a lot more than just a bit of CC and damage to the team, clearly. And now, if this inhibitor's going to fall down, it's a Baron up. Fnatic moving forward, and it seems very, very hard to shift, but kudos to them now as they are going to back off for a moment, clear the ward. Won't any TP flanks come in to ruin their day. They'll probably head towards the bottom and try and create an opportunity there as well. A Dragon as well. This is Fnatic just tying it all up in a nice pink bow.
I mean, this Dragon doesn't really have any value.
Hey man, movement speed is important.
Yeah.
Just gonna take it on the wave. They have the wave pushing on bot side now. And really for Fnatic, it comes down to these standard lanes, and it comes down to RNG trying to stall the game by keeping 2v2 laning going on top side as well, and therefore gaining absolutely nothing. And then once you get into that first team fight, you're naturally already behind in gold, and therefore it makes it so much harder for you, even though you might be the better team fighting team, to win it. And then it just snowballs completely out of control.
That tower is just going to get melted down. That is the 9th tower for Fnatic coming up, and Gamsu just rooting MLXG on the side there. Not the signal for an initiation, but Fnatic are more than happy just to make it a clean push through. Marta goes in, though. This is RNG's final chance. Their last hope for this tournament. And MLXG out towards the back. He stays alive. Xiao knocked up. Forviven gets the first. MLXG has fallen. Whoosh backing up, trying to kite away, but Reckless isn't stopping for anyone. He's going to get the rend. He's going to get the finish as well. Forviven with the triple kill. Fnatic have done it. They're pressed forward towards the Nexus. And with that final Baron and a very clean finish, Fnatic are going to the grand finals.